Howdy, everybody. Creepy Kentuckian is here.
I'm here, buddy. I'm Uncle Bill. I'm the other half of this fucking operation.
And Garrett's here from Born2BeRad. What is up, guys?
How's everybody doing on this cold December night? I think it's warming up oddly enough here. This is so odd because it was like cold when I come home from work, and now it's warming up in the middle of the freaking night. Like, it's just so odd.
So
Really, it's cold here.
Savannah asked me a question I was going to ask you, Garrett. Like, up where you're at, is it cold as piss like all the time?
No, it's
Okay.
I mean, it is cold. Like, it gets cold pretty early. I think it's probably similar to what you guys have. Like, we have like winter from like late November. You start feeling it until about February, and then we have a little spring, which is nice, and then summer, and we get a nice little fall. So it's not too bad, but it does get pretty cold.
I was just curious because around here, like, I don't know though, we don't have really like bad winters anymore because of global warming and whatnot. But like it used to be that, like,
We got hammered pretty hard on Christmas Eve last year.
yeah.
I thought I was going to be stuck up in Dry Creek, Kentucky, and I did not want that to happen.
That's not county. It's not where you want to be. No.
No. So we got some people in chat already. Charlie Bone Jangles, baby. Charlie Bone Jangles.
Bone Jangles, what up?
Chris V, what's going on, sir?
Brad.
He's really, the V stands for Vance. He's kind of related to me. It's kind of embarrassing, though. He's like one of our number one fans, but he's my cousin. No, I'm just kidding.
That'd be killer.
Alexander Lumberjack, what's going on, man? From down in Asheville, the home of Orbit DVD.
Ooh.
Give them a shout out. Basement Blues, what's going on, brother?
What's up, man?
He's got a killer YouTube page as well.
Oh, yeah.
Ken Carlson, what's going on, Kenny?
What's up, Ken?
And Ra, the horror guy, says this is going to be fun. Oh, yes.
Magnifico.
Because there really could be a two-part to this. Like, we've got, this is the best horror movie sequels of all time. We could also do the worst horror movie sequels of all time. That'd be just as fun. Maybe
Yeah, that's
do
true.
that at some point
I
in
mean,
the
or
future.
you could do a whole other list because, I mean, there's a ton, man. There's a ton
Right.
of sequels that are actually good.
Yeah.
But it was hard to, like, I got 20 over here. It was hard to, like, narrow it down to that, really.
Yeah, I totally agree.
There's plenty. There's plenty of movies to talk about. This will kind of be just like kind of a free-for-all. I mean, a lot of us are going to have a lot of the same films.
Yeah, I feel like that's going to happen.
So, and if anybody in the chat has any that you want to bring up, if we've got them, we'll go ahead and, talk about it as well. And I think it's going to be fun, man. Like, there's some of these movies that we have not really discussed that much. Some of these movies I have on my list I haven't seen in a long time as well. So I need to fix that.
Right.
But,
Perfect timing.
yeah. So, looking forward to it, and we appreciate everybody coming out, checking the show out as well. We also have Brad in here, Brandon Skaggs. What's going on?
What's up,
That's
man?
Ricky Skaggs' nephew. I don't know if you knew that.
Foz Rotten. He's hoping to hear some Ghoulies 2 love.
Ooh. Ooh.
I think you will.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk about Ghoulies 2. It wasn't on my short list, I gotta say. But I do love me some Ghoulies 2.
Ghoulies 2, make room for Ghoulie.
What's up,
We
Brendan?
are all up in the house. Brendan, what's going on, man? I've been looking for some of those dollar Blu-rays at the Dollar Tree, or at the $1.25 tree, whatever the hell they're going to call it now. I've been unsuccessful.
Dude, what is with all these Dollar Tree things? Dude, I have not. This Dollar Tree is like surrounding me. I haven't stepped in a Dollar Tree in probably like 3 years, and I see everybody's buying stuff over there.
Look. Dollar Trees are a fucking institution around here, Garrett.
You don't have
It's
Dollar
like,
Trees?
I'm surrounded by them, and I never go there. I mean, like,
Oh, okay.
I see a lot of people that are buying a lot of stuff there, and I'm kind of like, I don't want any of this stuff.
Now, that's the thing. That's how the Dollar Tree gets you, too, by the way. There's nothing in there that you need. Like, it's just a bunch of
Well,
But
I mean,
you
I
go
was
in
still
there.
buying Blu-rays, but like I don't need to add certain like for one, I have a lot of the good ones that are people are finding, but then there's a lot of them like I don't need like cheaper by the dozen like in my collection. Like I don't need that. So like I'm not gonna go and like grab all that stuff. But that's just me personally.
Yeah,
Trying
I
to
know
make
that
space.
there's a lot of the RLJ or whatever the hell it's called, entertainment DVDs, the horror movies and stuff like that. People are kind of grabbing those. Somebody has said that there's Blu-rays of, was it, I can't remember which company it was, but the New Kids.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, I heard about that one. That was pretty
Yeah.
good. But this store, this show was from the patron Anthony. So this is kind of his idea, and he was also wanting to know maybe sequels that you feel are better than the original, and I definitely have at least one that I want to mention on here. But we can go ahead and get rolling on here. We still got more people. Joe Bob Tar Heels in the house. Brad Carter Dention. Phantasmat is up in the heezy.
Andre Enrico was here.
Yeah, what's going on? Colin Morris.
What's up?
Any pre-orders on Alligator 4K yet before we get started?
No,
Not yet, but I will.
I have $19 in my fucking bank account until tomorrow, so I ain't pre-ordering nothing.
I get paid tomorrow morning, so that's when I'm going to go click, click, click on that keynote sale.
It sucks too because like I don't get paid until next Friday, so that kind of sucks.
Yeah, there's liable to be 4 or 5 sales by then. Garrett, what in the hell?
I know.
Put something on the credit card, you'd be fine.
Yeah.
There's tricks of the trade, PayPal credit was always a good one if in case of emergencies. That's always good.
Yeah, that buying for shit's like my best friend ever since I've been getting all these Blu-ray deals.
You get tricky sometimes. You're kind of like, oh, this works. No, I'll do it this way.
Yeah, I seriously thought like a couple of times about doing the Ghoulie buying 4 deal, but I haven't yet to do that. I was hoping I would find something like that on sale for Black Friday, but Trick or Treat Studios is a lot like Scream Factory. They don't believe in sales.
No, they had a sale, I think. I got an email saying there was some kind of sale. I don't know what the sale was. It could have been.
I think it
free
was
items
like
for all I know.
on clearance stuff, maybe.
Oh, okay.
Some of those sites, like their sale was they gave you free shipping. That pisses me off worse than anything. Like that's their whole Black Friday thing. You get free shipping. Like a lot of those T-shirt sites did that. I was like,
Everybody should be free shipping at this point.
yeah.
Right. I mean, yeah. But
Anyway,
so guys, who wants to get rolling on here? We're getting some people in here. We'll go ahead and get started.
play paper, rock, and scissors to see who goes first.
Who wants to draw first?
I'll go. I'll try to come in a little hot here. Like you said, it was weird because I feel like there was a lot I could bring to the table, but at the same time, it was hard deciding what I wanted to bring to the table. So it was kind of a harder task than I kind of thought. Because again, I wanted to kind of try to get something that was either better than the original, which is very hard in my opinion, or pretty close. There's some that were like, hey, I like this sequel, but it didn't even come in comparison to the original. So those I tried to stay away from a little bit, but this one was always a favorite of mine. I saw this as a kid around the same time as I saw the original one, and to me, it stood the test of time with the original at that time. I think the original's far better now, but still have a great place in my heart for some Creepshow 2. So Creepshow 2 is my first pick on best horror sequels. I think it definitely lives up to the original, but like I said, I think now that I'm older, I find that the original has more segments that I like rather than this one, but this one is still super fun, and I'm still a huge fan of Creepshow 2.
Yep. Michael Gornick did that one, and he was always a cool guy. And I always thought that the Raft one was probably like one of the most memorable ones out of either one of those.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
That definitely, as a kid, that's the one I remember scaring me like the most out of I think both series. But yeah, that was my favorite, and we've talked about this I think before in the past, but if everybody's new to checking us out, and we're talking about Creepshow 2, the raft. There's a scene where you just hear the car radio going, and they're playing Lex Luger's like 1990 WCW theme, and I always thought that was kind of interesting.
It's so funny. I just thought of that. Yeah, I was like, I wonder if he's going to remember that. Yeah.
I always like remember hearing that, and I was like, "What the heck?" And like as a kid, because I knew I was such a big WCW fan, I like knew right away. I'm like, "Why are they playing Luger's music?"
When you first told me that, though, I thought it was like the late '90s Lex Luger music, and I really would have marked out for that.
Yeah, no, not that one.
He had one of the best themes that wasn't like, a rip-off theme. Like, you know how WCW had they went through that time frame where like everybody's theme was a rip-off of like a 90s song.
Yeah.
But like his was just that, it was that da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. It just kept repeating that line. Yeah. That was like a great...
But yeah, that Luger theme from the early 90s when he was like, he went heel, and that was like my favorite era of WCW. And I know a lot of people hated that era, but when he went heel, became champion, he had like Harley Race as a manager. That's the theme I'm talking about that he had. It was a real cool, like 80s metal kind of, hair metal theme. So it's pretty cool if you guys want to check it out. Find it. Lex Luger, heel 90s theme.
The funny thing about it is I'm pretty sure I'd seen the sequel, Creepshow 2, years before I ever saw the original movie. I think didn't they used to play that all the time on HBO back in the day?
I'm sure
Creepshow
they did.
2. So, I mean, I knew it was a sequel, but yeah, that was, I've always had like nostalgic, every time I go back and watch the movie. You can tell now that it definitely didn't have the budget that the first movie had. Mm-hmm. It's kind of cheaply made, but I mean, I would consider it definitely a classic sequel. Is it as good as the original movie? Probably not, but I think it comes pretty close.
It does. I think what kind of hurts it too is I think the original one had a couple more stories. So this one I think only had 4, I believe. So I think that kind of hurt it a little bit. But all in all, it really, like, if you had these two movies and you just did like one big movie, like it all splices really well. Like you wouldn't ever think like, it was different budgets or anything like that. Like I feel like it flows really well with the original one.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that with the original movie, there was a segment or maybe 2 that seemed to drag a little bit. You didn't get that with Creepshow 2. I mean, I enjoyed all the segments in Creepshow 2. But like I said, I mean, you can definitely tell they did not have the budget to work with the second one. They definitely had more of a budget than Creepshow 3 would have.
I was getting ready to say,
that wasn't going to make the list, sadly.
That could be on the worst.
Yeah, I also remember, speaking of that Lex Luger theme, I remember I bought the vinyl soundtrack for Creepshow 2, and I was so pissed that it wasn't on there. It's like the main reason I bought it. I was like,
I'm guessing that was
theme song. Where's that Luger?
Yeah,
song?
that was some sort of like, just radio music that they probably had. It was almost public domain shit, maybe. Mm-hmm. But Creepshow 2, you can't go wrong with that. I'm wondering if Arrow may do a 4K of that coming up soon because they're redoing a lot of their stuff again.
Which is cool. At the same time, it sucks because it's like you spent so much time and money on these Blu-rays to just have the exact same set come out with like a 4K transfer. That kind of bums me out, especially because this Creepshow set I think was that real rare one, and I'm not sure exactly why. So if anybody knows why this one is or was the one that like got pulled really fast, and then they came out with one that had like a blue box. Mm-hmm. Let me know why. I don't remember, but I just remember it was a big to-do when this came out.
I'm hearing that Phantom of the Mall could be another really, really rare one if you don't have your hands on that one. I think Walmart.com still has it, last time I checked, but they made very few of them because
Orbit posted they had a couple too, so I don't know if they still have them. So
I bet they're like, God damn, people bought a lot of these.
I'm telling you, I think that's gonna start a trend. They're gonna go like Vinegar Syndrome route and be like, hey, let's get these obscure horror movies and like make these huge sets with them, Which again, to me, like, I'm fine with it, but because like Eric Revenge or whatever, Phantom of the Mall, to me is like a cooler title than a lot of the stuff that Vinegar's putting out, so I'm fine with it.
It's a good sequel too. It should be on this list.
You probably
So
should, yeah. For Eric's Revenge. Not
Revenge.
even original one. Revenge
I'll
for
go.
what?
I'll go next though, because we do
All
have
right,
a lot of
but
movies.
wait.
Whoa,
Before we go,
what's that?
before we go again, let's just do this, okay? Because I think that there'll be 3 movies that all 3 of us will have on our fucking list. So let's just go ahead and get them all 3 out of the way. Because they're just the staples that's
Why
going to
don't
be
we-
on everybody's
Why don't
list.
we do this? Why doesn't if someone says it, we'll just hold it up if it's our thing, and then we'll just won't talk about it again after that.
Yeah, that's fine. I feel like there's going to be 3 that like you're going to have. Like all 3 of us are going to have to
So
have.
did anybody else have Creepshow 2 on their list right now?
I didn't, to
No.
be honest.
All right, cool.
I'm willing to bet you guys probably have this one on the list. Now, this is one that I have not watched in a long, long time, but it definitely is, it redeemed the second movie, and it is The Exorcist 3.
Oh, that was the next one I was gonna pop up.
Yeah, I do
Which
have, I do have that
I have
on my
the
list.
old school DVD, right? I do need to get a
Is that
Blu-ray
the
of
snapper
some
case?
sort.
Get that out of here.
That's a snapper case. I put them all in little plastic sleeves.
I hate
Red-
these snapper cases.
Well, I'm
Snapper.
holding out now. I mean, they're all going to come out on 4K, especially Screen Factory still owns them. So,
Exorcist 3 is a movie that every time I watch that movie, I like it a little bit more. It's got some scenes in it that are just absolutely insane. Like, there's the one scene that always sticks in my head, aside from the scene everybody talks about, which is the misdirection scene, is the one everybody talks about, where the nurse walks into the room, then she walks out, and then the guy, like, is behind her with that big hedge clipper things. Like, that's the scare scene. But the one that always sticks with me is the scene where he's having like a dream or a fantasy or something about heaven, and like, Patrick Ewing is there for some reason. Patrick Ewing's an angel, and fucking, and like everybody's in like fast motion and then slow motion, and then like there's a band and people playing piano, but they're all playing it like creepily, like, in fast motion while everything else is going in like, regular time. Just that whole scene is just one of the creepiest scenes ever.
That is nuts. Now, I have a question for you or anybody else, and man, tell me if I'm literally dreaming right now, because a part of me feels like, was there another movie, or maybe it was one of the other Exorcist movies? Did they do something where they went back into like a flashback or something of that scene and show you a different angle of that hedge clipper thing? Am I like losing my
I
mind?
think there's 2 different cuts of that movie on that Screen Factory release, right? Is that right?
Yeah, but I don't know if it could be that. Maybe it's that, because like a part of me feels like I remember seeing that angle from like her coming straight at you rather than from the side. Like, I don't know where, I don't know if I dreamt it. I don't know.
Well, they did a shot for shot fucking
So,
a shot for shot remake of that scene in like Black Christmas, the remake that recently came out. But
I never saw that.
As far as like it could have been in one of those like prequel or those like Dominion or something like that, but I could never get through those movies to tell you.
Like,
if it was
you know
or
what a
not.
part of me almost feels like, and I know it's not this. I don't think it's this. Do you remember in was it Ready Player One, where they went into The Shining? Was that movie? Did you ever see that?
You
I've
got
never
me.
seen it.
I've never seen it. Yeah.
Dude, Ready Player One's a really, really cool movie, and I know this is off topic, but if you guys haven't seen it, it's really cool. And to be honest, it reminds me of like what this world's coming to, based on like people talking about metaverses and all this stuff. Like, it literally feels like that's where we're going in the world, which is crazy. But they like hop in and out of video games and dimensions and worlds, and I don't know. I think it's that movie. And there's one scene where they go into a book and they go into The Shining, and it's basically like them inside the movie. So you kind of know what's coming and stuff. It's pretty crazy. And like a part of me feels like that with Exorcist 3. Like, did they go? I don't know. I could be losing my mind. If anybody in the chat knows what I'm talking about Exorcist 3, that scene being in another movie or in a flashback or something like that. But I literally could be dreaming, so I apologize.
So, but yeah, I remember, didn't they do some reshoots on this too? Like a lot of the stuff that involved, was it Jason? What the hell was his name?
Oh, the priest.
Yeah.
Jason Miller.
Yeah.
So that was reshoots. Like originally, I don't think he was in the story at all.
Nope.
And then the exorcism at the end of the movie was also just added in. Like William Peter Blatty wrote the Legion, I think was the name of it, the book, and it really had nothing to do with the Exorcist. But of course, William Peter Blatty. I think I'm glad they did it this way because The Exorcist 2, had they ended that franchise on The Exorcist 2,
Right.
that
This
was
is a
bad.
great sequel. This should be Exorcist 2 in reality.
Yeah.
I went back and watched Exorcist 2 about 2 weeks ago. There's no way to describe how bad that fucking movie is, really. Like, to get people to... And there's people that defend that movie. But then again, there's people that defend, like, everything Vinegar Syndrome puts out, too. But, like, there's people that think that that's, like, a classic movie and it's better than The Exorcist. But it's, like, the acting in Exorcist 2... That's why I didn't even, like, consider it on this list. Is awful. The plot is awful. Like, the whole thing with, like, them entering into her mind with, like, a flashing light... And then they go back to where the first exorcism takes place and all that. It's just so bad. Like, I don't see how anybody could champion that fucking movie. But anyway, that's not what we're talking about. I'm just saying.
But Rolling 666 is bringing up Brad Dourif. Brad Dourif in this movie, I remember, was freaking killer. Like, it may be his best acting role. What do you guys think?
I think people don't give him enough credit. Like, man, he's always good. I feel like he did great in this, and it is crazy that they were ended up making this a part 3 and bringing back the priest. What's his name? That Father
Karras.
I don't know. Yeah, Father Karras. Yeah. Who's weirdly enough, I don't know if you guys knew that, he's like the father of Michael from the Lost Boys. There, friggin'.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh yeah,
Jason Patrick. Yeah, that's his dad, dude. How crazy is that?
That does make a lot of
kinda
sense.
odd,
they look a lot alike now that I think about it. Yeah.
You look like a boxer.
but yeah, that's a great one, and hopefully, the next time they re-release it on some other format, 4K probably, I'll need to pick that up. I think that's one that I need to upgrade for sure.
All right. I tried to pick, like, the stuff that I tried to pick was stuff that was not fucking, like, well known. Like, that wouldn't be like picks that, would already be done or that people would think of. So I tried to go a little bit, like, obscure with it. And so I'm going to go with my first one being, Poltergeist 2, I guess. Because, okay, to be honest with you, like, Poltergeist was not one of my favorite movies anyway. So it didn't take much for Poltergeist 2 to top it. But the one thing that Poltergeist 2 has that the original doesn't have is a kick-ass, like, heavy. Like, the lead preacher in that movie is one of the scariest goddamn things ever. Especially when you're like an 8-year-old kid. And just the whole idea of him, like, walking around that house and, like, outside and, like, singing these church hymns. And the whole, like, flashback of him, like, when he's in the church with the congregation and all that. And he's, like, emaciated and preaching to him and all that stuff. It's all just some of the most horrifying stuff that you'll just ever see in a mainstream movie like that. I thought it was infinitely better than the first one. And the worm scene and all that shit is like, yeah.
That guy was dying though, wasn't he? In the movie,
yeah, he had
close
cancer.
To death. Yeah,
and he was on the last, like, leg of, like, cancer when he was making that film, so he looked even more kind of ghastly in that too.
Yeah, Poltergeist is a weird series. I mean, I like the movies okay. But to be honest with you, I've never really loved any of those movies. I mean, there's certain scenes, like definitely the "You gonna let me in, Caroline" or whatever, And Zelda Rubinstein does a great job in those movies too. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, there's a couple reasons. Like The Exorcist, or not the Exorcist, God damn it, Poltergeist is the last movie that we ever did at the Strand as well. And here's the thing. Now, we probably talked about this before. Everyone talks about the Poltergeist curse and all that shit. So it was the last movie that we showed at the Strand. The film itself completely broke the projector in the first reel of the movie, and they had to switch over to another projector. So I think there probably is a curse.
There may be.
Guys, you know. What do you think, Garrett?
I think Poltergeist 2 is a great sequel, but I'm a huge fan of the original one. I don't think it's better, but I mean it is still a great, take right from that right from the original. I feel like it's just a great second part to that story. Yeah, that guy's super creepy. It's like to me, I always looked at him and I was like, oh, who's this like fake Angus Grimm or whatever? But no, he was definitely creepy for sure. And I think that, like you said, like there's a little bit more action and stuff in that second one. Like I feel like they kind of found their formula after the first one, and they kind of just went a little bit, more balls out with it. So I definitely think it deserves to be a top sequel for sure.
I think that that's the difference too. I think that the first one was too like Spielbergian for me. Like it was too, I don't know, like kid friendly. And then in the second one, they were just like, there was none of that. It was more like bare bones, stripped down, just almost like a slasher film. The way that it was shot, like terrifying kind of movie.
We have a Canadian in here, Michael Rushpaul, who gave us a super chat. Did we get a super chat again? About 5 seconds, you give me $20. If you don't give me $20, I won't touch shit. Give me 20, fucker. Give me 20. Give me $20. Give me $20 or I won't touch shit. What's going on in here?
Every time that fucking gets me.
I don't know if if this movie is on your list. If anybody wants to go ahead and,
I'll go next because I'll just pull it out right now.
Okay, so yeah,
Psycho 2.
He brought up Psycho 2. He said Norman struggling with his sanity while the mystery over who the killer is, along with a great performance from Perkins, makes the best one.
Yeah, I love Psycho 2. Obviously the first one is a classic. We can't take that away from it. Overall, I think it's a better, story, but this one I feel like falls in the same vein a little bit as Poltergeist 2. It's like I feel like they kind of they stayed true, I think, to the original. And Tom Holland, being a huge fan of him, I just think that what he does with movies is just so killer with like Fright Night and Child's Play and all that stuff. But I think as well that like this just kind of they had a good formula with this one, and in my opinion, it connects really well to the original, considering it was how many years later, right? A lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're talking
this was like 80s, 20, wasn't it?
Yeah, 20 some years later.
23 years later, yeah.
Think about that. Like that's very hard to take something that old and make a part two and make it work. Like I think they just did a real good job with this one, and always been a big fan. I'm actually a fan of all the Psychos, to be honest. I think I like 3. I almost brought that out as well, but 2, in my opinion, is the better of all of them.
It's because if you think about that too, the balls it takes to try to not remake, but do a sequel to Psycho anyway, and like how many like films like that, like these huge kind of classic films have had a sequel where it's been awful. But to me, like Psycho 2, it took people about probably 15 to 20 years for them to really catch up to that film, I think, too. Mm-hmm. Like, to realize, like, how good that was. Like, I don't think it got the recognition it deserved when it first came out. People are talking about it now, but it just kind of faded away, like, back when it came out. But it is, like, by far, like, it could be, in my opinion, I don't know, like, how you quantify it, but I like that movie, I'll say that, better than the first one. Like,
yeah, I agree. I could watch this one a lot more than I could watch the original. So, and I agree. And I think too, and I don't know if it's because the first one was in black and white, but Norman doesn't look 22 years older in my opinion. So it's just crazy to me. Like I always kind of felt like he looked the same, even though it was really like 20 something years later. But yeah, I think when it comes to a factor of how many which one I can watch more, it's definitely the second one.
Yeah, I mean the Psycho 2 was one of the first horror movies that I ever saw, like rented on VHS back in the day. So I definitely saw this one before the original, many years before the original. There's a couple things in this movie, like Anthony Perkins does an amazing job in this. Now, this is a guy that, definitely legendary actor. He had a lot to live up to try to, even get close to that original movie, which Norman Bates is what he's going to be known for forever. So he definitely did that character justice. The end sequence with his real mother and the shovel to the back of the head is one of the, I remember when I saw that disturbed the shit out of me as a young kid. I was like, because it looked so real.
It still does. You go back and watch it, it's like I don't know how they did that exactly, but whoever that was took a real fucking thump to the head with something. Like, I'm sure it wasn't a real shovel, but damn, like the impact you can see clearly.
Yep. We got a pretty cool one here from Sean Clark I wanted to bring up. What's going on, Sean?
What's up, man?
Jason Miller is not only the father of Jason Patrick, but also Joshua Miller from Near Dark, River's Edge, and he played Tom Atkins' son in Halloween 3. Was also in one of Uncle Bill's favorite movies, Teen Witch.
I fucking love Teen Witch.
Yeah.
That's funny, man. That's interesting. I didn't even know that.
What are we getting here? Naked online strips without clothing?
Someone hacked us, man. What?
We got hacked. I guess. Or this person is just fucking annoying.
I've got to catch up here. Yeah.
What the?
Let's block this son of a bitch.
Naked HD.
Who brought that?
I'm sorry, we can't do that. We're on here on the YouTubes.
Yeah, this is a kids program.
A lot of the trolls are going to be very angry because YouTube did away with the dislike button. So, fuck all of you. You can hate on.
Haters gonna hate.
What we got here? Here's one that's kind of an oddball one. I've got all these movies. I don't really recall hardly any of these movies except for this one. And this one is just fucking stupid, but it's great. And it's a lot of fun. And it's one of those movies where you're like, how did this even get made? But whoever made this is a fucking genius. And that is Slumber Party Massacre
That's
2.
on my list.
That was it was on my maybe list, and then I put it back before we started.
Listen,
it's a fun movie, man. I mean,
yeah. There's another movie on my list that is great for similar reasons as that, but that's just one of those movies where, like you said, you watch it in disbelief. You're just like, somebody fucking funded this movie. There was probably a craft service tray where people ate. So there was a carpenter that built a set to watch this asshole run around with a guitar drill.
Guitar drill, yeah.
And sing 50 style bebop songs.
Doing kind of 68 Elvis, with the.
I mean,
yeah,
it's amazing, man. Not in a good way, but
that was definitely a good pick.
Written and directed by Deborah Brock. Produced by the legendary Roger Corman and immortal, by the way. The guy's still alive.
Oh, God.
Naked's back.
Let me tell you something, you naked motherfucker. Get the hell off here.
That's so cute.
We ain't doing nothing for naked, free naked pictures and all that bullshit. To get lost.
Who is that?
That's like a spam bot or something. I don't know. That's the first time we've ever had that. Maybe we're getting to be sort of a big deal. Have Sean Clark and Chris Nelson got that on their live videos? All right, boys. But yeah, this is not that easy to find though anymore. I think there was a 2-pack from Scream Factory. This is an old New Concord DVD that I've held on to. But yeah, you definitely want to. I mean, it's not like technically a great movie or anything, but I think it's better than the first movie. To be honest with you, I enjoy it more.
It's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot more fun. It's a lot more entertaining than the first movie.
Um, the who's is it? John's comment, but it's funny.
Holy shit! Let's go ahead and
All right, let's do this.
Before we get started on something else, Michael, you were the man up in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Did we get a super chat again? About 5 seconds, you give me $20. If you don't give me $20, I won't sign shit. Give me 20, fucker. Give me 20. Give me $20. Give me $20 or I won't sign shit. What's going on in here? So,
It's about respect.
So does anybody else have this one? He's just throwing them out there. I would imagine somebody has this one. Who's up next?
Nightmare on Elm Street 2. I did not have that one on my list because I had Nightmare on Elm Street 3.
Uh-oh, you're going to be probed? You're going to be probed by Jesse from Nightmare on Elm Street 2? Now, that game is in the background, right? I didn't even realize.
Yeah, that's in his closet.
Of course it is.
I love Elm Street 2, man. I think the more I watch it, the more I love it. When I first, back in the day, first seeing all these movies, I always loved like 1 and 3. And I've grown to love 2 a lot more throughout the years. I actually even I tried to theme my poster setup today to sequels. So if you look right here, I do have a Elm Street 2 poster signed by Mark Patton as well. So I love Elm Street 2. It's right up there with like one of my favorite Elm Streets. So yeah, I have that on my list. So we can skip me next time, and I'll just be my pick. So yeah, Elm Street 2.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with Elm Street 2. I think it's really the last movie where Freddy was more of a dark character.
Yep.
And the opening scene, always kind of freaked me out with the school bus and stuff like that in the beginning of the movie. Been another one I haven't seen in a while. Hopefully, whenever the Scream Factory box set comes out,
the first one we pop in. Yeah,
all of
we'll have to do a watch along when the box set comes out, the 4K. And but yeah, man, Freddy. I found was like he was like the scariest in part 2. He had a really cool look too, and I know a lot of people shit on the whole he came out of the dream segment and just like tore that whole party apart, but that to me was scarier than anything else because it did break a lot of rules. And then you kind of from there were like, oh shoot, if this can happen, like what else can go down? And having like a dude as like your main victim, I always felt was just it was cool. It was just different than what we were normally seeing.
There's a couple of scenes in that movie that I think are some of the best scenes from Nightmare films. The one where he like rips back his head. Mm-hmm. And he's talking like his brain is showing. That effect still holds up today, by the way. That effect is still great. And the other one is like the full body scene where he comes through, like the character and like comes out the front. Now some of that's a little iffy, but still just the idea of it, like the idea of how they pulled that off is great.
I always liked Kim Myers in the movie too.
Yeah, Kim Myers is great.
She does a great job. Very, very good looking woman, kind of a different look. She's a ginger kid, so you don't get that too often, oddly enough. And
Amy Steele, which will be
Amy Steele coming
up soon.
She looks like who does the Myers look like? She looks like what's that big actress? She looks just like
Julianne Moore.
No, someone in the chat will get it in 2 seconds. Because when I first saw it, my wife like swore up and down it was her, and I'm like, it's not her, and then we looked it up and it wasn't. But
Kate Winslet.
That'd be so cute.
Meryl Streep. Somebody just said it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Meryl, really?
You don't think so, Kim Myers?
I think she's way better looking than Meryl Streep.
Well, I don't think about. Now maybe what's that one chick? Robin Lively. She kind of like would put me in mind of Robin Lively or some other chick.
Robin Lively's way better looking than Kim Myers, though.
Yeah. I agree.
I think.
But yeah, we got some peeps popping in over here. I see Pop over there. I see Justin Movie Watch popping in. Thank you guys for checking this out.
Yeah, we're going to go through you guys real quick here because I'm getting behind. Jake Cortenhose mentioned the Maniac Cop Trilogy. That's one that I didn't really think of. Those are pretty good. I actually watched the second one. I don't know if I'd ever seen the second one before recently.
Oh, that's a classic, yeah.
Well, okay, so let's talk about that really quick. I was looking at these two, and I thought to myself, man, I don't remember the sequels too much. And then all of a sudden, I knew that they just came out in 4K, and I'm like, oh, I didn't buy them because I'm like, oh, I think I have the Blu-rays. I don't really need to upgrade. And then I looked, and like, I only have part 2 and 3 on DVD. I didn't upgrade to the Blue Underground Blu-rays. So now I'm like, oh, I definitely need to because I have Maniac Cop Blu-ray. So how does it look? Should I just go snag the Blues for a little cheaper and get the 2, or is the 4K the way to go?
I don't know how good the Blu-rays look because I thought I had those too, but I didn't. And I didn't even have those movies on DVD, but the 4K looks fucking killer. Like, I don't know how they do it.
Yeah, Blue does a good job with those.
But, yeah, it looks awesome. I mean, it's pretty much reference quality.
Nobody gives them a lot of credit, but good Lord, man. The stuff that I've seen of theirs where they've remastered it in 4K has been amazing.
Mm-hmm.
All of the stuff I've seen of theirs.
So let's go through here before I get lost again. Robert Long's going on about the Junior Cut Above. I don't think that one's ever come out on Blu-ray, has it?
What is it? The movie Junior?
The movie Junior, yeah.
No, I have a DVD bootleg of it, but from ever ago. But no, I don't think it has.
So we got one here, and this is how we can go through it quickly because fuck, it'll take all damn night if we don't do it. So Garrett, Ice Bowie, is wanting to know what your favorite Child's Play sequel is. He feels that part 3 is the perfect Chucky film.
My favorite is 2. I mean, it's not my favorite. My favorite is the original. 2, I felt, we kind of talked about before. It's not as good of a movie, in my opinion. It's a little more, it's more campy, I guess, a little more fun than the original. I'm always a big fan of part 2. Part 3, yeah, I mean, I was always a fan of part 3. More as a kid, I was. I loved this, being in the military camp. I thought, that scene where he puts real bullets in like the paintballs was always like a very memorable scene to me. And I always kind of thought it was funny when he was trying to possess the little kid, like in the thing, and the sergeant comes in, he's like, "What are you doing in there?" And the kid's like, "We're playing hide the soul." And the guy's like, "What the?" But yeah, I always thought it was a good one. Part 3, I prefer part 2, but part 3, in my opinion, is a good one. I'm kind of a fan of all the Chucky sequels, at least. And I know Seed gets a lot of hell, but I mean, I'm okay with it. To me, Bride and Seed are like their own trilogy, kind of, or it doesn't 1, 2, and 3, and then Bride, and it's just, to me, it's just two different, franchises in a way. But yeah, I think part 2 is my favorite.
Uncle Bill, what do you have a favorite of the Chucky sequels or Child's Play sequels?
Yeah, I'm going to actually say that, because I've seen this movie a million times now, and I didn't like it that much when it first came out, but it kind of grew on me, which is, I think Bride of Chucky is probably my favorite. I think that there's something about that movie that's like a combination of like a John Waters movie and like, a horror film, and just, it's got
fun soundtrack. Love the soundtrack too.
Yeah, it's got Jennifer Tilly in it, which she's great in that movie. Just her character in that movie is great. And the only thing I don't like about it is Katherine Heigl. I fucking hate Katherine Heigl. In just about anything I've ever seen Katherine Heigl in,
Don't be a player hater.
Dude, she's just awful. She is. Like,
the problem with Bride of Chucky is that movie was so great that they should have stopped. Like, there's no way but down after that. And I didn't really even like the movie that much when I first saw it, but over the years, man, like, I agree with you. I think that may be my favorite sequel of the Chucky / Child's Play franchise.
Yeah, it just takes it in a completely different direction. Like, 2 and 3 were going in the normal kind of like slasher sequel route, which is fine. But when it got to Bride of Chucky, they were just like, all right, let's just make it really campy and like just ham everything up and bring in these like over the top characters. And that's what made it great to me. Like, and I even like Seed of Chucky. I don't think it didn't work as well as Bride of Chucky, but still it's an okay movie.
Yeah, and if anybody from Necker is in here, what's the deal with my Chucky dolls?
Now, if you want to talk some Puppet Master, now I'll let you guys do that. But
Look. Here's the only thing I'll say about Puppet Master, okay? Here's the only fucking thing I'll say about it. And then you all say
Super
whatever
chat.
you want.
We got to talk about Puppet Master a little bit, I guess.
Do
Because,
it.
super chat.
But the first Puppet Master fucking blows, okay? It's not the movie you think it is. Like, the puppets are only in it for, like, the last little bit of the movie. Like, it's not that good of a movie at all. The movie that everybody, like, thinks about when they think about Puppet Master is Puppet Master 2. Now, that movie kicks ass because it's actually got them all throughout the movie, and, like, they introduce the best characters, the best puppets. So I love Puppet Master 2. The rest of them, whatever.
He did mention
Alright.
something else, though, about Blue Underground, and they're just re-releasing stuff. They haven't released anything that they haven't brought out before in years. And that is kind of, I mean, I'm kind of curious what the deal is with that.
Yeah, they're just rehashing all their blues right now. Don't know why, but they are. But if I can,
Did we get a super chat again? About 5 seconds, you give me $20. If you don't give me $20, I won't sign shit. Give me 20, fucker. Give me 20. Give me $20. Give me $20 or I won't sign shit. What's going on in here?
wow.
Yeah, we had
Well,
two, so I wanted to
It's all
definitely
good. It's all
hit
good.
it again.
But hey, guess what? Pup Master 2 is on my list. So
Fuck yeah. Fuck
that's kind of
yeah.
funny. Everybody's basically calling out what I've got over here. Now, I agree with Uncle Bill 100%. Growing up as a kid, Puppet Master was like, I was really into it because, it was just, the little dolls, and I rented it all the time. And Puppet Master 2 is the only one that I own. So I watched this a lot. And I agree, like, that's my absolute favorite because it feels to me more like the type of 80s movies that I was into. And it just feels to me like I'm not big onto, like, going back to, Nazi Germany and all that. Like, that's not really my thing. I mean, this one feels like a lot more of an 80s slasher movie. I was talking to Christian Hanna the other day because he's really big into Puppet Masters, and he told me part 3 is his favorite, and I would really like that one. Now, I own the old box set, the old big one that they did way back in the day, the DVD box set, but the only ones I upgraded to blue was this one and the first one, and I think like Last Rake or whatever. But yeah, I want to go back and watch part 3 because 2 is the only one that really stood out to me growing up. So I wouldn't mind going back and checking out 3.
The Puppet Master movies, though, man, like, I have the box set, but I get all those movies mixed up. I know I'm not a fan of the first Puppet Master movie at all, though. I do remember that. I think the ones that I watched the most of was some of the later ones that were on, they were like direct to sci-fi or whatever the hell. Wasn't Corey Feldman in one?
Yeah, he was Puppet Master versus Demonic Toys, which I saw Robert Long just bring that up, and I love Demonic Toys, which I'll get into on a future episode on my channel.
You'll get into it right fucking now.
He's got to hop some shit up now, boss.
I need content, man.
Mr. Bones wants to know what kind of shirt Garrett has on. I know what kind of shirt it is.
Who is it?
It's the loose cannon. He can hardly fucking talk.
All right.
Brian
So
He's one of my favorites.
I'll go
next, baby. Who? Okay.
I got one that I'll bet nobody thought of. I'm just willing to bet because it's an odd one. But I didn't like the first movie that much, but I thought this one was just so out there as well that it was great. Prom Night 2. Hello, Mary Lou.
Nope, I didn't bring it, but you're right.
No,
I think it's
wouldn't have
better than
thought
the
of that
original.
one.
Fucking hate. I don't like Prom Night. I've tried to watch that movie 1,000 times and never can get into it.
I'm not going
Prom
to agree
Night
with
2.
you all on that one. I'll disagree with you both on that one.
Well, you can disagree with us, but Prom Night 2, man, like just the design of Mary Lou in that and how like she's burned up and everything and then like comes back. That whole thing is just great, I thought. And it's a fun slasher-y kind of film from that time period. Kind of iconic at this point. I don't know. I'll go with that one.
Is another one that has not seen Blu-ray yet. So
That does
Very
seem
odd.
like a box set that Vinegar Syndrome would be all up in like the prom night sequel set, the 2, 3, and 4.
Well, Synapse had prom night, so I don't know. I guess they didn't have the sequels.
Yeah, who's to say? I don't know. We can
I
ask
don't know.
Don May Jr. This is one I guarantee we've all got. And we don't have to touch on it too much because we've talked about this movie a lot. But this is just a kick-ass sequel. Very fun movie to watch in almost any, for almost any occasion. With friends, just by yourself. Halloween night, New Year's Eve. You're always going to have fun watching Phantasm 2.
Yeah, that's
Yep,
definitely on my
Oh,
list.
it's back.
Yeah.
Yep, I got it here.
Phantasm 2 is to Phantasm what Aliens was to Alien.
I was just gonna say the same thing. It's like they went from that, and that's another. And I even say Terminator in a way is somewhat in the same vein, but not as hard. But yeah, man, like Aliens was my jam growing up. Like I was like, oh, it's so much better. But now I like Alien far better than I like Aliens. But that's the same thing with Terminator as well. Like when I was a kid, I was like Terminator 2. Now as an adult, I'm like, oh my god, Terminator is way better than 2. It's still 2's still great, and so is an Aliens, but I feel like the originals are a lot better of movies, and I
They're
agree
different
totally with
types
that
of movies,
comparison.
though. Really,
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of almost hard to compare them. And the same thing goes for, Phantasm 1 was kind of almost like a slow build, classic monster horror movie. And Phantasm 2 was more along the lines like an action movie, really, with some horror elements.
And just the whole idea that they made like Reggie the action star
Yeah.
is fucking amazing. And he does a really good job in that movie too, pulling that off. He's like Bruce Campbell-ish kind of in the way that he acts. And the 4-barrel shotgun, of course, is iconic. And I thought the beginning of that movie always stuck with me too.
And go ahead, sorry.
Just where they go back to the house and everything, and then they have to blow it up and all that stuff happens. Yeah.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
recreate the end of the first movie,
Yeah.
which is really well done and all that. Makeup effects in this is like an all-star team. I think it was right before K&B got together as a group. Greg Nicotero, Robert Kurtzman, Mark Shostrom, all those guys were working, and the effects in this movie is freaking great, and it still looks good to this day.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. That was a good pick.
Yeah, so you can't go wrong with Phantasm 2 unless you bought that Blu-ray set. I think they fucked that one up. That more recent
Oh yeah, I'm
one.
still waiting for my my disc. So.
God damn, we'll never get those fucking.
I don't know why did
At
they
least I
not
didn't have
just
to break
release a
mine to
4K
get
of
you know.
those?
So what?
Like, what the fuck? Like, you've got it
Right.
Bad Robot Productions remastered the first freaking movie in 4K. It got a better, they did a better remaster on it than probably any of the shit that Vinegar Syndrome's come out with.
I agree.
But
That
no.
remaster, when I saw it for the first time, blew me away.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the coolest ones that I got to see in the theater when they did that. That was great. That movie looked amazing. Who's next?
UB?
Well, since John brought it up, Silent Night, Deadly Night 2 was on my list too.
Really?
I'm not even joking. Because to me, that's in the top 3 best, worst movies of all time. It has probably the single best awful performance by anybody with Eric Freeman in any horror film ever. I've watched the beginning of that movie where he's in there with the psychiatrist. I don't know how many times, probably 100 fucking times. And it's just like there's 1,000 different quotes. And you can tell he 100% did not mean for that to be funny. Like he was legitimately trying to act. And then, it's got a lot of problems. Like the majority of the film is the first movie, just rehashed like the flashbacks from the first movie. But when it actually picks up towards the middle and he finds the girlfriend and takes her out to the theater and gets to kill him, guys.
There's the one scene too where he's going through the neighborhood and shit.
Yeah.
And the music they're playing for that is like the Blob from 1950 or something. It does not fit with that at all. And then Elizabeth Catane, I think was the girl's name. When he,
Yeah.
what does he do? Slam.
This is one of the best parts of the whole movie, and it completely comes out of nowhere. Like, so he like electrocutes with a car battery her ex boyfriend until his eyes like pop out, and then like she says something to him. I can't remember what it was exactly, and like he fucking grabs her, and she goes, "Oh no!" and like tries to run away, and then
Doesn't
he like
she say
kills
something
her.
like, "Uh-oh"?
"Uh oh," yeah, that's it. "Uh oh," yeah.
Yeah, that was another one too where I think it's gained a lot of popularity throughout the years. I can remember the first time I saw that one was actually when my wife at the time was my girlfriend. She was in college, and I remember going to her dorm and renting that on the way. And when I remember putting it in, and I was like, "What the hell is this?" All it was a rehash of like the original movie, and I was like, I thought it was so bad because I'm like, wow, what a weird, not weird, but yet lazy sequel that you don't need to watch the original one if you watch part two, in my opinion. Like, I mean, it tells you pretty much exactly.
Yeah, it's the whole story. Yeah.
And but yeah, now that like I'm older and stuff, like I love that one. I mean, I think it's great.
Just
Yeah,
the
for
whole
sure.
thing, man. Like everything about that movie. He kills a dude with a fucking umbrella, and like it comes out his back and opens up, and he's like everything he says to the psychiatrist. I could quote. Like it's just amazing.
Any thoughts on, let's see, what was it? The Basket Case sequels.
I've got look. They're both.
Oh,
They're number 15 on my list.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Basket Case 2 and 3. I think they're kind of the same movie, really.
yeah. I mean, I like them. They weren't on my list just because I just think again it goes back to that they're so different than the original to me that I don't know. Like I love the original Basket Case. The other ones I find fun, but to me it was just never the same.
Basket Case 3 is just so off the wall and just like, what in the fuck is going on here?
It
You
just
know,
he just went in a completely like insane. He just told Gabe Bartalos to create all these creatures and monsters and stuff, and that was the whole thing. Like it wasn't the first one had a really serious tone to it, even though it was kind of goofy.
Right.
Like it was like you could believe that it took place in like a real world. The sequels are just like let's take this money, we'll put it towards like prosthetics and turn all these people into these crazy looking monsters and just it's basically a comedy. Both of them are basically comedy.
Michael Ers Paul, again, of Super Chat, man. We appreciate it. I will hold off on the Gimme 20 for a little bit unless anybody requests it. Because I know we're busting
Yeah, we're
some
gonna get
people's
wore out.
eardrums. Final Destination 2, they took all the great things about the first one and turn it up. I mean, I like Final Destination 2, but I prefer the original one.
It's number 3 on my list.
Is it really?
Yes, it is.
So that was one that I had in my hand. There's a couple franchises like that where, man, and I say these like, oh, they're because they're a little more current, right? But like Final Destination is not current at all.
No, not
but in
now.
my brain, it still is. I don't know why, but I just get confused. Like I had it, and I was like, oh, I think this is the one that was really good. But I was like, oh no, maybe it was 3. And like there was a lot of franchises that were just a big franchises that I got real confused on like what was what. So that's why I just put it back and said forget it. But
Well, they definitely take the death scenes and stuff up a notch. I mean, in that one, I recall for sure. What's the status though with the Final Destination? I mean, they were doing those sequels like almost every year and just kind of quit out of nowhere.
There's one coming out next year, I think, because
Oh, okay.
the kids are a big fan of those movies. Amazingly, like, they've watched about all of them at this point. Final Destination 2, though, like, has the best setup of any of them to me, which is the car wreck. Like, the way, that's like one of the best action sequences that I've ever seen filmed. And to this day, if I get behind like a lumber truck, like that's carrying that kind of stuff, like,
yeah,
I get,
okay.
I get
true.
freaked out.
I remember that scene.
That scene is and like, is this the other one too, where there was that scene where like the dude was like something happened where he was up in his apartment and like water spilled on the ground?
Yeah, he falls out of his apartment like window or comes out of it.
Okay.
His apartment catches on fire.
Yeah.
He comes out of the apartment, but then the ladder like falls and like goes through his eyes.
Yeah, you know what? Part 2 is a great sequel, and they did really well. I feel like Final Destination did pretty well with like their formula of like just crazy deaths, and you were in suspense on like, oh, is it going to happen? Because sometimes it would psych you out, like when you thought it was going to happen and then it didn't. You're just sitting there waiting for it, and I just think that was kind of a cool formula that they created, which something like Saw, I feel like didn't take from that formula, but it started to become a game of like you just went to Saw to see the inventive kills that they were going to do. But I mean, I think Final Destination is good as well. I hope that the next one coming out, they don't try to like reboot it, because with Final Destination, like you can just keep going with the same formula. You don't need to reboot the franchise. It does, but
yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like that Final Destination jumped the shark. They've just gone through like so many of them now, and like they've redone them, rebooted it. Like there was one that was just like the Final Destination, and then like just kind of got the one that got me where I was like, man, they've really like is the one where they did like a NASCAR race was the fucking setup. I'm just like kind of running out of ideas at this point, aren't you? Like,
any memories about House 2, the second story? That's a movie I haven't seen in forever.
Yes,
But I remember loving that
Caterpillar
movie as a
Dog.
kid.
Caterpillar Dog is my memory.
Zombie
of House
Cowboy.
2. Yep.
Yeah, I haven't seen House 2 in a long time, but I always felt like it was a like almost like a more bonkers version than Part 1, I thought, but
It's fun. I mean, I think it
Yeah.
was a perfect movie for a kid. Get a younger kid into the horror genre a little bit. Venom Brew Studios. We did talk about Psycho 2, but there's a number 2 that we did not talk about yet.
what is it?
The original Boogeyman is back. It horrifies you in your sleep and haunts you for life.
Troll 2.
It's the VHS of the legendary Claudio Fragrasso, a.k.a. what was his name in this? Clyde Johnson. No, Drago Floyd is the name he used in this one.
Drago Floyd. Sounds like somebody in fucking Rocky would be fighting. Like,
The first time I saw this movie was, I think it was like on the Sci-Fi Channel or something like that. And then I just happened to be looking at lists of some of the best bad movies. And this was on there, and I just blindly bought it on eBay. And I was like, oh, fuck, I've seen this fucking movie before. It's not technically a sequel to the first Troll movie. I mean, only in name. It has really nothing to do with it at all. But, man, this is a piece of art, bulls. It really is. Of how this all come together. There's documentaries on the movie now. A big, huge fan base in the movie. George Hardy has a fucking acting career now, thanks to the success of Troll 2.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to tighten my belt so I don't feel hunger pains.
yeah, the classic, dude, you can't piss on hospitality. I won't allow it.
Wow.
Yeah, that movie, I agree. It's a great sequel. It's different, but it's that's so bad it's good. It just works, man, for that movie. I saw that movie for the first time on HBO in like probably the early 90s. I was at my aunt's house because she used to babysit my brother and I when my mom would work when we were kids, usually in like the summer or something like that. And we used to watch a lot of stuff on HBO because we didn't have that as a kid. So we saw like I don't know which one, but we would watch some Hellraisers on there. So it must have been something that came out around that time. And we saw Troll 2. And for years, we never knew what movie that was. Forever. We were like online Googling like things we remembered about it. And we could not find it at all. And then when that documentary came out, what is it? Good, Bad Movie or Best, Worst Movie or whatever?
Best, worst movie, yeah.
I bought it. And I also bought like the MGM 2-pack at the same time or something like that. And we watched it and we were like, holy shit, this is the movie that we've been looking for like, 20 years or whatever. So, so it's definitely a little bit of a memory with that movie for sure. I didn't see it on VHS or anything like that, just when it was on HBO. And then I couldn't find it after that.
I don't think any other movie, I can't think of any other movie, at least in the modern era, that does what this freaking movie does. Like, it's almost like a nightmare come to life for real. Like, it's like something that would happen, when you're either drunk out of your mind having a bad dream or whatever. I mean, that's the best way for me to describe it because it's just so. I mean, it's more out there than any other movie that I can really think of.
It's a movie where everything came together perfectly to create like something that bad that is so self-aware. Like the actors are all really trying, and you can tell that, and the dialogue is so awful. And the director is like well known for making just some of the worst films of all time. So it's like a perfect storm of all those things coming together and just creates like the best worst movie. It really is like it has to be the best worst film still.
The daughter with like tried to do like that 80s dance in the mirror, and it was like super awkward.
And there's the popcorn scene in it,
Yeah.
and the one dude turning into a tree.
Basically any scene in that movie. Like
you've got
every scene.
Buckets and buckets of green food coloring used throughout the making of the movie. Those masks for the fucking trolls or whatever you want to call them. Goblins. I guess they were goblins. Ali Hamad is asking if that Troll 2 VHS is worth. I don't know. It may be. I haven't looked it up in a while. I'm hanging on to it though for sentimental purposes. So what you guys got?
Let's see. All right. I'll bring this one out to the table. I'm a big fan of the original. I know the original movie for some reason gets like some hate. More hate than I thought because it's one of my like favorite, horror movies that I saw from my uncle at a really young age, and I fell in love with it. This sequel kind of takes the concept and kind of, again, it goes a little bit more wild with it, and I think that this lives up. And I think in most people's eyes, I think they find that this one is better than the original. Not me. I still feel the original's better for different reasons, but still super good sequel, and that is Amityville 2.
The Possession.
Yeah. So, again, awesome movie. Diane Franklin. Great movie. But, again, to me, it's not as good as the original, but I know to most people it is, I think. But it's super fun. It's super creepy. And, I love it.
It's just a completely different movie, really.
Yeah.
I mean, the first Amityville is really all about the house and the backstory behind the house. And the second one is all about, like, the possession. Well, it's called the possession of, what's his name? The guy from Rocky. Burt Ward's Robin. Who is that guy? Burt Young.
Paulie.
Yeah, Burt Young. Yep, Burt Young. Yep.
So, and it's just, there's a lot of super creepy vibes in part 2. Like, even more so than the first one.
His sister, yeah.
I love Diane Franklin in this movie. Yeah. It's definitely, it'd have to be one of the early prequels, right? I mean, it's kind of weird that they would do one, what was that, back in early 81, 82? When did that come out?
This one came out in 82.
So, again, that's another one I think that's out of print. That Scream Factory, that box set is, I don't know how valuable it is, but it's out of print.
And I got to tell you, I mean, as long as we're talking about Amityville, It's About Time is fucking off the chain. It's killer clock in that one.
Yeah. Or the Amityville dollhouse. It's a dollhouse that's possessed.
Yeah.
Good shit. What's funny, though, is the Amityville movies are almost infinity sequels now because they can't copyright the name of the town. So if any jackass, and I'm not naming anybody in particular, but there's plenty of jackasses out there, wanted to make the Amityville dildo or whatever, they could do that. And they probably already have.
Yeah.
It's probably already out there.
Instead of like saying like they could have it to where they have a commercial, it's like instead of get out, it says get off. It's the Amityville dildo.
There you go. Maybe that we could do a shirt for the Amityville dildo. We can't do a movie because I don't care that much.
There you go. That'll be a good one. That'll sell off the fucking shelf.
Shop.deadpit.com.
It's like, get off.
For God's sake, get off.
Get off. Oh, that's a great marketing idea, the Amityville dildo.
Dude, every time we do a stream, there's a new shirt right out.
Yep.
That's funny.
Oh.
Sean Clark's saying the Amityville 2 smokes the original. Possession, incest is always a good time.
Yep. And we're going to get the Amityville dildo out of it. So
I didn't know Cool Duder was making an Amityville movie.
Oh yeah, he's making a trilogy. You didn't know that?
Is he really?
Yeah, Amityville Bigfoot, Amityville Karen, which I don't fucking understand that. And then
Does that movie have a death curse?
I don't know.
Oh, that's a shame if it doesn't. Let's see. I love that guy. I want to change. I want to change it up a little bit though with my pick,
Okay.
and not this is a newer movie, like a lot newer. That I was pleasantly surprised by. I don't own this movie. I just watched it on. I think it was on Vudu. Doctor Sleep. I don't know if either of y'all have seen Doctor Sleep, but it's a sequel to The Shining.
Yeah, I saw it.
And
Yep.
I have not seen it. I have it, but I have not watched it.
I don't give a fuck what anybody says. Like, I know there's a lot of people out there that mark out for The Shining, and there's some people out there that hate it, but The Shining is what it is. It's completely like standalone kind of work. It really has nothing to do with the book. But Doctor Sleep is a worthy sequel to that movie. And it's got a great cast. The guy who I'll never think of his name, Ewan McGregor, that ends up, playing Danny in the film is friggin' amazing in it. As is the little girl who's the other Shining kid. Like, she's amazing in it. It's got like a great villain in Rose the Hat. It's got a great ending where they go back to the Stanley Hotel. And like, there's a whole sequence in that movie where they redo the scene, like where he's at the bar and all that, except this time it's with, Jack Torrance is the bartender and Danny is the kid there, and the way they do it is just, it's amazing. So yeah, that's my pick. That's
good.
kind of a newer pick.
I definitely want to check it out. So hopefully, maybe this winter, I can do a double feature.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, you need to see it. Like, it's a lot better than I ever expected it would be.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So who's next, baby? Is it me or is it ye?
You can go, man.
Yeah,
So-
no matter.
This is like the first movie that kind of popped into my head because I feel that nobody hardly talks about this movie, and it is very close. May even be better than the original. I don't know. It's a direct sequel to the original, and man, I need to upgrade this movie. It's the old Anchor Bay collection of Hellbound. Hellraiser 2.
That
You know,
one,
I'll go out there and say I am not familiar enough with any Hellraisers besides the original one. The original one I've watched tons of times. The rest I've seen, but again, I get confused. Like, I know there was one that was like, I don't know, were they in like a, I don't know, it was like a weird hotel or something, and it didn't feel like the other ones. I don't know if that was 3. I don't remember, but it's hard for me to say anything
3
about
was
that one
the guy-
because I really don't know.
3 had the antique dealer or something, right? Wasn't that in 3?
listen.
There was
Here's
just
the
one
only
him,
way.
like in a room, like it just didn't feel like the original. I mean, it like the other ones. Like
You might be
No.
thinking of Deader, because Deader is the one. There's one with Craig Schiffer in it where it's like a detective drama, more so than it is like a Hellraiser movie.
Hellraiser 2 is like a direct sequel. It has like almost all the people from the original Hellraiser in it.
Yeah, Hellraiser 3 is also the one that has like the guy that gets CD shot into his head and
that's the
becomes
one
like
I
a.
think. Yeah, that's the one I'm thinking about. That's part 3.
Yeah, that's how I always remember it. Is he's got like he's a Cenobite with like CDs, fucking coming out of like different parts of his head.
Greg Caldwell's bringing up Amazon, the Blu-ray of Hellraiser. Man, I'm waiting on the 4K of Hellraiser. You know that shit's coming. But Hellraiser 2, though, again, it's kind of like a direct sequel. It was, what was it called? The Hellbound Heart, the book was. It's similar in a lot of ways to the first movie, right? So,
Yeah,
and
I mean
remember
it's yeah.
the end sequence is really, really good. I remember that as well. It's been a while since I've seen it. But yeah, a lot of great makeup effects as well. Very similar to the first movie, and it's easily the best Hellraiser sequel.
I think that I would disagree with you on that. And you fucking know
Fuck you.
that I don't know. I was like a Hellraiser mark there for a period of time where I watched like every one of them. I love Hellraiser 2, but I think that I don't know. That's actually kind of tough.
Well, what would it be then? If you, I mean, what?
Well, I almost don't want to say it because I know you're gonna fucking fucking give me hell about it. But Angelique, I think that the fourth one, I can't help it. I think that's my favorite sequel out of all of them.
So yeah, I think I got to go back and rewatch all these.
I do need to rewatch them too.
Because it has been a long time. I think I may have only watched the sequels like once back on DVD. You know, I haven't, since the Anchor Bay days, I haven't gone back and checked out any of them but the original.
Yeah, if you like the first Hellraiser though, I would. Definitely watch the sequel again because I think.
Now you know what it was honestly, and with me with that was I think I like started watching some and they spent so much time like in that other world or whatever that I was like, like I'd rather have it take place like it did in the original one, where like most of the movie took place like, you know, outside that world. I don't know, I could be wrong, and it has a good backstory to it, and I just haven't watched it enough.
I mean, I can't deny that Hellraiser definitely jumped the shark right around the time that they did the virtual reality one. I can't remember if that was Hell World, I think. And then there's
well, they did a bunch of them that weren't even Hellraiser. They were just different scripts that they had, and Dimension, to keep the franchise, would just do a fucking movie in like 2 weeks or whatever, and you know, Hellseeker, Hellworld, Deader, Inferno. I can't even keep track. Revelations was one.
Yeah, like I don't know when it starts to become like somebody besides Doug Bradley, but at that point it gets really, really fucking bad.
Hello, Doug Bradley here. So yeah.
So where we
all right, so I guess I can go. My next one. This one, again, I didn't think anybody was going to bring this to the table. Now, again, I'm going to say, to me, this is like a newer movie, but I know in most people's eyes, it's probably not that new. The original I liked. I remember my wife and I saw it in the theaters, and we were kind of freaked out, like, you know, after it was over, we were like, oh, man, that was really good. And then they started pumping them out, and then I was kind of like, meh, like I was kind of over it at that point. But Paranormal Activity 3, I feel, in my opinion, is the best out of the bunch. It's the one where they were like little kids. And what I liked about this one the most was the setting. Like, it was this really 80s cool looking house. And I just remember looking around during the movie and just looking at all the furniture and stuff and being like, oh man, I think we had those chairs when I was growing up and all that stuff. And just the aesthetics and atmosphere alone that they made for this movie, I felt really worked just as a whole. But yeah, like after part 3, I saw them, but I'm like, they all mixed together for me. I know the marked ones was the one that took place outside of this world, which I thought was actually a pretty good one as well. I have not seen the new one, so I can't say anything about it. But to me, part 3, I think, is even better than the original one. What do you guys think? Have you seen it?
I agree. I also think though that it kind of set the precedent for like the next couple ones that came out to do this horrible fucking thing that they tried to do, which they did it great in part 3, but were never able to kind of duplicate it in the rest. Mm-hmm. Where like different scenes from the different movies intertwine and they come back around to them like in the film, and like so that when they tried to do that in the later sequels, it was just a mess. Like they would do it like 2 or 3 times in the same movie. None of it really made any sense. It's kind of like watching Saw, like watching a Saw sequel where they tried to like interconnect all the different parts of the movies, and so I hated that. But I think you're right though. Part 3 actually did that really, really well.
I remember seeing part 3. I think we watched it in a theater. We may have done it on the road for it back when it came out. I've seen it maybe one other time, so I definitely would like to rewatch it. But I do remember liking it. Did that end? I don't think I watched any of the other sequels after that. But did that end the storyline with Katie? Did they change it all after that, or what was the deal?
The next one,
I don't remember what 4 was at all.
I kind of remember 4, but it was like a little girl or something was in that one. Like a
which was the
blonde.
one? There was one too where like I could be wrong, but it could be a different movie. Remember there was one where somebody got like a virtual reality set or something, and like it had all those like lights all over the room or something like that, like a video game system or something like an Xbox.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I
That
don't
might
know
have
which
been
one that was.
4. I also remember going to see the marked ones, which was fucking one of the worst movie experiences I ever had.
The marked ones. I didn't think it was that bad. I mean, I thought it was all right. I didn't see it in the theater. I saw it later.
God.
I didn't hear too many people say good things about it, so I never checked that one out.
Wait, is that the one where it took place in like Mexico or something
Yeah,
like that?
yeah, that was the Spanish Paranormal Activity, I guess.
You know,
Sean
it's funny
Clark's
if I,
got a
yeah,
good
I was
one
just
on
gonna
here.
say that
Yeah.
man, you know what? Great call because I didn't even think of that. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, Silence of the Lambs is one of the best movies of all time, period.
Like Silence of the Lambs is one of those movies too. Like I've talked about it, like Jaws. That movie's so good. I don't see it as a horror movie. It's just a good movie. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it does have some horror elements, and it's kind of like a crime drama type deal. But yeah, I mean, hell, you can't go wrong with Silence of the Lambs. George Romero is briefly in Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah, I actually caught him the first time, like last time I watched it, in the scene that he's in, which is the scene where Anthony Hopkins attacks the guard, or the guards come in after Anthony Hopkins is attacked, like the two guys.
Master Chaos TV.
What's up, man?
What's going on, dude? He got some great news. His new film, The Legend of Lenora. Is that a sequel? Wasn't there another Lenora movie? It's getting a theatrical
Yeah, I
release in
actually never saw that
January.
one. That's awesome, man. Congrats, dude.
Yep.
Fangoria is dropping the trailer tomorrow, according to the producer. So we'll definitely have to get Master Chaos on for a podcast or something.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Frankenhooker 2 Rectal Blowout. I've never seen that. Is that a...
Never.
That's not a legitimate thing.
No, but
That would be awesome.
I'm a big Frankenhooker fan, so it'd be interesting.
shit, where was that at? I'm bad to lose spot on here.
Anyone mention The Strangers Pray at Night? No, I did not. It was good, but I didn't bring it.
No, I'm not mentioning that.
I think it is better than The Strangers, though.
I would almost kind of agree.
I don't know. I wouldn't say that.
Okay, it has one scene in it that's better than anything in the original movie.
The pool scene everybody talks about, yeah, it's a good scene, but I
Well,
don't know, man.
you got something against pool? You think the pool scene's overrated?
No, I
Yeah,
think it's
buddy.
a good, I think it's a good scene.
What's wrong with swimming pools and neon
I think
lights?
The Strangers had a scene that, in my opinion, I've never seen replicated, I don't think, in any horror movie that will always stick with me. And it was that scene when she's like in the kitchen or whatever, and the dude just like is in the background, and there's no. What I loved about that scene was it was so realistic, and it was not the usual like jump scare scene where all of a sudden like a note of music will hit, and you'll be like, oh shit, something's there. Like he was just chilling there, and like you saw him in the background, and you sat there, and you're like, okay, what's gonna happen here? Like that scene to me, which I think more horror movies should do, is like have stuff happen in silence rather than, you know, use the music to kind of, you know, force a jump scare or whatever. But that scene to me, I don't think I've never seen replicated. It was giving me, I remember giving me goosebumps like watching it in the theater. But pool scene's good though.
I just added that as a last minute thing.
good.
Yeah, the pool
Good.
scene's all right.
It's good.
I just remember, like, okay, the one thing I can say about Pray at Night
Holly.
is it does not wear out its welcome. When I was in the fucking movie theater seeing the original Strangers, I felt like that movie was 4 hours long. I mean, it was so drawn out, and I was just ready to leave halfway in. And the Strangers Pray at Night is like, what is it, like 80 minutes? It's very short. It's not very long.
Mm-hmm.
Ninja 3, The Domination. That's one that I didn't even think about. And it's kind of a sequel.
Well, I didn't take
guess.
it because I wasn't sure if we were going to still consider it horror or not. So that's why
There-
I didn't bring it to the table. I mean, I
There's
thought
some
about it.
possession in it. And,
Yeah.
you know. But yeah, Ninja 3 The Domination's a classic for sure.
Lucinda Dickey.
A lot of
The
people
Dexter.
loving on Child's Play 2.
Yep. Talked about that earlier. Check it out.
Manhunter is one of those movies that I was not that impressed with initially, and I feel like when a 4K of that comes out, I have to buy it. I just have to see it visually because it's such a well-made. And I'm not into these pretentious ass Michael Mann movies usually, but that one was very well made. I'm willing to give it another chance.
Are you talking about Manhunter?
Yeah,
Oh, I love Manhunter. Yeah.
that's another one. It's kind of slow, but visually I remember even though I wasn't a big fan of the movie, it's very well made for sure. Greg Caldwell though.
Well, now's as good a time as any, I guess. So there's two. I'm just gonna say two of them because fuck it. There's two that like have to be on everybody's fucking list that are just no brainers. Like I feel like we should have just got them out of the way to begin with. Dawn of the Dead and Evil Dead 2. Like you fucking know that those are going to be on everybody's list. Yeah. Because Evil Dead 2, well, let's start with Evil Dead 2. Evil Dead 2 is Evil Dead made like better. Mm-hmm. Like I'll admit that the first Evil Dead has like a camp quality to it and like a low budget quality to it that is a little bit creepier and less goofy than part 2. But in every other way, part 2 is better. It's got better effects. It's got better acting. It's got like better characters. Like every part of that movie is better than the first one. So there's that. And oh good, Naked HD's back. But
damn you.
And I think that like it's probably one of the most influential horror films ever made in of the fact that the camera work pretty much gave Sam Raimi a career and like kind of
Anthony's in the house. He's the man that made this show happen, Bulls. What's going on, man? Thank you, sir. But go ahead, sorry.
I was just gonna say it kind of reinvented like the whole horror genre in the way that you could make films and make shots and angles and things like that. Like nobody was doing anything like that up until he did. God, we're really getting spammed the fuck out of ourselves right now.
Yeah, I agree.
We've made it big, Bulls. The Naked HD strip club bullshit. Let's see here.
Yeah, I mean, Dawn and Evil Dead 2 are a must in any sequel collection because, again, they outdo the originals.
Yeah, they do.
The thing is, though, like, I'm with Uncle Bill, though, as far as part 1, it has a special charm to it. And I think one of the big differences between 1 and 2 is, like, it was part 1 was almost more of an ensemble cast of people. And in part 2 is where the Ash character really kind of become what we know him as now. You know, it's more of the Bruce Campbell show in part 2.
No, I totally agree with that as well.
I mean, yeah, people like can say what they want to, and they are saying what they want to on here. Like, I get it. I get it. Evil Dead is it's like a serious tone movie. But you can say whatever you want, and you'd be wrong if you think that it's a better movie than Evil Dead 2. Because in every other fucking way, Evil Dead 2 is a better movie. I'm sorry. Sorry that you feel the way
I totally agree. I mean, it starts to get a little slapsticky in part 2, but it works, and I felt like it worked for me back then when I first saw it for the first time, and it works for me now. But no, I mean, Evil Dead the original is fantastic. You know, it's just like it is. We talked about it earlier with like other movies where it was just different. It's the same, you know, in a sense of a plot, but like it's just different. The tone is different. But yeah, I mean, I agree. Those two have to be in everybody's list.
Well, Evil Dead 2 as well, and I know I've talked about this to death. That was the first Evil Dead movie we saw. I mean,
same with
the original Evil Dead was pretty much impossible to get at the rental store here. I guess when Anchor Bay came out with the VHS and initial DVD releases, that was when I really started getting into the first movie. I like the first movie better, but that's just me. I mean, I'm not big. I think there's comedic elements in the first movie too, but it's not as obvious as what they did in the second one. So, but I love both of those movies, and I appreciate Army of Darkness for what it is too. I got in a big Army of Darkness kick for a while
Oh
there,
man,
and then I just got sick of it. Like I think it got to a head when we saw it in a theater sometime. They were doing a screening, and then I was like, okay, I've seen Army of Darkness enough, and I took a break from it.
let's get the hell out of me. That's like the best part of the movie to me.
Little goody two shoes.
Yeah. So, okay, and talk about Dawn of the Dead. It's the greatest film ever made. That's all I can say. What do you want me to say?
I mean, I can't argue too hard with that. I mean, it's my favorite of the whole. I don't even know what to call it anymore. Is it not a trilogy? But everybody, a lot of people like Day better, but I was always definitely Dawn.
Yeah.
The atmosphere at the mall. I mean, everything just kind of worked for me.
Not to mention, like, just the fact of, like, that movie is everything you could want in a movie. Mm-hmm. It's a comedy in places. Yep. It's an adventure, like, movie in places. It's a horror film in places. Like, it's a drama. It's, like, everything. I don't give a fuck. People can go on all they want to. Day of the Dead is not better than Dawn of the Dead. It just fucking isn't. Like, it's got better effects, but it's not a better movie.
Well, I think it's a different movie, though. I mean, he made a different. It's a more serious tone.
Yeah, it's a great film. It's just not better than Dawn of the Dead.
Dawn of the Dead was another one of those movies that was kind of a time capsule, and I think the aspect of it being in a shopping mall around that time period, people are very, very nostalgic for that. George Romero, I don't know what the story was. Was he didn't want to do another zombie movie, or what the deal was? And then his buddy, Dario Argento, hey George, come over to Rome, eat a little bit of baklava, see what you can come up with. And man, those two guys together was just fucking magic. So, Dawn of the Dead, yeah, it's going to be a hard movie to beat, especially for zombie films. Even though Night of the Living Dead has technically probably been copied a little bit more than Dawn of the Dead, but man, Dawn of the Dead's a way better movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I don't like the older I get and the more I watch Day of the Dead, I actually like it more than I used to even. But there's something about that movie where it just doesn't have the same impact as Dawn of the Dead. Like, I don't care about the actors as much, the characters as much. There's only a couple characters in that movie that are actually like memorable. Rhodes being one of them, and probably Bub being the other one. And the rest of them are just kind of like there, like just kind of walking around doing whatever. Every main character in Dawn of the Dead, like, is awesome. Like, they all have their own like subplots. They're all like doing stuff. Like, he's something about the way he juggled all that in Dawn of the Dead was perfect.
Well, I think a lot of it too, like, if you think of it like this too, because we're into the Italian horror movies as well. So this is kind of a mixture of if George Romero made a zombie movie in Italy, right? Because a lot of the stuff in it, the music, some of the makeup effects, the blood and all that, like it's definitely, you can tell that Argento had his hand in that movie as well. So it's an interesting one for sure, and I'm glad that, hey, we have a 4K of it out in the UK that we can enjoy. I don't think it's ever going to come out here in the United States, thanks to good old Dick Rubenstein.
Yeah, that fucking guy. Yeah, don't get me started on that. So does anybody have, though, anything else that we didn't?
I got some more still.
John Cressup's got a very important one that we forgot about. The Hell Comes to Frogtown sequel with Robert Zadar.
Yeah, I mean, that's
not on my list.
That's good stuff.
He's not shitting. That does exist. And that,
you know what I have on here
sure
that I am surprised nobody's mentioned yet. I haven't even really seen it fly through the chat. Maybe it has, but I'm shocked that you guys haven't brought it up yet. And I'm looking at Halloween 3 right now, and I did not choose Halloween 3. I didn't choose Halloween 3 specifically because it's different in my opinion. It's not, I don't look at it as a sequel to Halloween, so I didn't choose it based on that. But if you want, I have Halloween 2 in here, so that was another one I had. I don't even know what I do with it. So I did pick Halloween 2 because I've talked about this before. I think Halloween 2 is in my opinion, almost a perfect sequel in a way. I always just loved the idea that took place seconds from the first one. Like as a kid, to watch those two back to back and feeling like you were watching one complete movie was always just so different than what I was used to. And I love Halloween 2. And sadly, I'm still kind of irked that they try to pretend it doesn't happen, because when you really think about the new movies, that storyline of them being siblings at this point of that trilogy, it doesn't even who cares if they were siblings or not? Like nothing would have changed. So that to me is why I kind of feel like, why did they have to go out of their way to be like, oh yeah, it doesn't exist, or oh, the rumor that they were siblings, that's not true, someone made it up. Like,
yeah, they had to reference all that
to the
shit.
Story that if they were siblings still and it took place after 2, there's nothing that would have changed really, So I don't know. That's just me when it comes to that. But the one I was going to bring up is that no one mentioned Devil's Rejects.
I've got that one on the list.
Okay,
though, yeah.
Which again it's tough, man, because I feel like back at the beginning, I always felt Rejects. What's up, Ken? Was way better than House, and the more I watch them now, I feel like I like House better. But it's just very different. Like House to me still feels like he didn't know what he was doing. He was having trouble ending the movie. Like that still to me, like that whole end sequence where it feels nothing like the rest of the movie, feels like I didn't know what he was doing here. So I think as a whole, Devil's Rejects is a better movie. But I find myself putting on House a little bit more now than I do Devil's Rejects. But I think as a whole, it's a better movie.
Here's what I think it is too. I think the first 20 minutes of House of 1,000 Corpses is the best thing that Rob Zombie ever did. Mm-hmm. And then like it just kind of slowly goes downhill from that point of the movie. Like the whole sequence inside of like Captain Spaulding's, murder rides and all that stuff is like amazing. And then he just didn't know what to do with the rest of it. But The Devil's Rejects, I think as a whole, is like a better film because it actually has like a good beginning, middle, and end. If they would have left the fucking end alone, that would have been great. But
what do you want to go back and watch more now? Is it The Devil's Rejects or House of 1,000 Corpses?
For me, it's House.
House, yeah. That is the one that I watched the most.
So that's what I would say too, and I wonder why that is, because when we saw the movies theatrically for the first time, by far, I would have told you that I enjoyed Devil's Rejects more. So
I think I do enjoy it, because once it gets to a certain point in House, I just like turn it off. Like when it gets to the point where he's chasing everybody around down the fucking thing with Dr. Satan and all that, that's a mess. Like that whole last part of that movie is just a mess. Like I don't want to see that shit. But something about the first half of that movie, and it's beautiful, by the way. That's another thing too. The way that it was filmed might have something to do with it. Like it's just a beautifully filmed movie as well.
Yeah, I can't tell you exactly why either. Like I said, Devil's Rejects is a better movie, but I don't know why I find myself now going back to.
Do you think? Here's why I think
House.
that we don't want to go back to Devil's Rejects as often, is because there's some shit in that movie that's hard to watch.
You know what? I was thinking that too in my head. I'm like, I don't know if it's me being a dad now. Has changed me in certain ways when it comes to that, but like there's some scenes in there that is kind of just like it's a hard watch now than it was when I was in my early 20s, so I think that is what it is. I don't know for sure, but you're right, like there is a lot that's hard to watch. That scene in the hotel room when they have the women like naked in there and all stuff, it's a tough scene to watch.
I also feel that the soundtrack to Devil's Rejects took it from a good film to a great film. I think the soundtrack really helped that movie a lot.
I'll be honest with you, like I have never really seen the kind of reaction in the theater as like at the end when we were watching it, like they started playing Freebird and people like in our area were losing their fucking minds, like standing up screaming and shit. Oh, it was great. I mean, he really knew, like, and he would, I guess, like, he knew how to use music to, like, complement scenes in that movie. More so than just about any other film I've seen.
Well, and the best scene in Three from Hell is the closing credits just because of the song.
There is no good fucking scenes in
Well,
Three from Hell.
he played the other Terry Reid song from
Yeah.
Seed of Memory that he didn't use in Devil's Rejects. But some other sequels that people mentioned on here, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. What do you guys think of that one?
I didn't pick it just because like I don't know, like I either I'm burnt out on that movie now, or I just don't equate that movie as being a great sequel, especially when you consider like the original movie, which just blows all that shit away.
It's funny you say it because I did not put it on my list either, and I thought for sure I was going to be the only one that didn't have this today, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna have to explain why I don't have this on my list. But that's crazy that you guys don't, and I think I'm in the same boat as you. Not that I'm burnt out on it, and I think it's a pretty good movie altogether, but Texas Chainsaw Massacre is in such a different world to me. Like it stands on its own, and the tone was just so different on part two that I really can't even. I don't even like group them together. Besides the fact that they're the same characters, like it's just I just never got the same feeling in part two. I think it's overall okay, but I don't feel the same as I do about other sequels because Texas Chainsaw was just so different for me.
I think it's good that he made it so much different than the first movie, though. Had he tried to just kind of do a remake, which is what a lot of people probably would have done, I don't think it would have worked at all.
That's kind of what they did in part three. I mean, honestly.
But yeah, I mean, part two is like a kind of a different sort of midnight movie with colorful characters and just insanity. What about the Gate 2? Any Gate 2 memories?
I don't even remember the Gate 2.
I just know it has to do with the little guy with glasses is the main kid in it. That's all I really can recall.
Isn't there a scene in it where everything, like the kid ends up getting turns to shit or something like that? I remember that.
You know what, man? I have the Blu-ray from Scream, but it's been a long time since I've seen Gate 2. I don't even think it's open, to be honest with you.
Been a long time for me too. Someone was asking about the Dawn of the Dead remake.
What about
I think it's okay. It's hard for me to compare it. I think it's all right though, as a whole.
Yeah, I didn't mind it. Like, it's probably one of the best remakes that there was, to be honest.
I'll tell you this, and I don't know, my opinion might be wrong, but I think like if you take remakes and you look at it, and I mean I think that the remake of Dawn is a good movie, but in comparison to the original Dawn, I feel like it doesn't compare at all. If I was to say Evil Dead remake to me compares closer to the early Evil Deads, in my opinion. Like if I was to say, would you like better, like Evil Dead or Evil Dead the remake? I mean, man, I think that's a tougher choice for me. I absolutely love that remake, but when it comes to Dawn, I feel like there's no comparison to it at all, even though I do like the remake as well.
It's just an entirely different type of movie too. Some people on here mentioned a couple though that I've still got. Just real quick, Critters 2. It may be the only good Mick Garris movie. It's possible.
Psycho 4? Psycho 4?
He did do Psycho 4. And he did The Stand. All right, I'll give him three decent movies. But you got to admit, Mick Garris is like the fucking king of horrible sequels. And
he's done something else that was good. He had to have done at least one other thing.
No, he really didn't, I promise. Sleepwalkers? Probably not. What else did he do?
Video violence too. Are you fucking kidding me?
Why didn't we mention that?
Trying to get a response here.
Who's releasing that? Isn't someone releasing Video Violence?
Yeah.
Who is it?
Vinegar Syndrome. They're going to release a VHS movie in Blu-ray on Blu-ray. How's that?
I don't think I can buy that.
And Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3. We didn't mention that one, but we just watched that movie. I think those are like some of the better.
We did not mention Dream Warriors. We talked about part 2.
I did. Because I said I didn't have 2 because I had 3.
Yeah, I have Dream Warriors on my list too.
We didn't talk about it in any sort of detail though.
No. But it was on my list.
I like Dream Warriors okay. To be honest with you, I like 3 and 4 about equally.
August Underground Mortem. I'm going to beat the shit out of that guy. No.
Get out of here. August Underground.
Underground Mortem. The fuck? Anyway.
We did talk about Slumber Party Massacre 2. So if you guys missed that, go back. Check it out.
I think
Oh, go
Oh,
ahead.
go ahead. I was just gonna say I think Nightmare on Elm Street 3 was like one of those movies I saw at the perfect time, and it's like a combination of when Freddy became like jokey Freddy, but it was still like awesome, and the set pieces were awesome too. Like the murder pieces that they've got in that film are like the best. You know, through the woman going through the TV and the puppet and like all that stuff is classic to this day.
Though,
I
I
had
think
these. Oh, go ahead.
I think part 3 for me, like I've seen it too many damn times. I just don't want to watch it again. Like
Yeah,
I'm kind
I
of
mean,
burnt
that's
out on it.
That's kind of where I'm at with it too, but I still think that it's the best one.
You know which franchise I had a tough time with is Friday the 13th. I brought these two out and say I'm gonna say that in my opinion they're pretty equal, and in my opinion is 3 and 4. I don't know, man. Like Friday's funny because we got Halloween and Nightmare on Elm Street and stuff, but Friday the 13th to me, like, man, I'm good like with all of them, to be honest. Like I look at all of
Yeah.
them and I say, they work for what they are. I think 8 kind of teeters off a little bit, but I mean, I would say 1 through 7 is pretty good sequels. But I think that part 3 and 4 to me is like it just really takes everything that I wanted in a slasher. So that's why I brought those out. But it's surprising that in a weird way, Friday works, I feel like, better than any other franchise. In my opinion, those big franchises like your Halloweens and your Elm Streets, like just as a whole, I think. What do you guys think there?
I agree with that. Like every one of those movies up till for me actually up to like Jason X maybe. I could watch like at any time. I think they're all equally pretty good. Like I don't love 6 for some reason. Like it's just not every one of my favorites, but I mean I could watch any of them at any given time.
I'm the same way. I think there's only two out of the Paramount 8 that I'm kind of burnt out on, and that would be 6 and 7 for some reason. Like those are the ones that's probably the least likely that I'll go back and check out, just because I've seen them so many damn times. But the New Line ones, I don't like the New Line ones really. Jason Goes to Hell, Jason X, Freddy versus Jason.
Yeah, I could do.
I don't like those movies.
And it's crazy because those are the ones I saw in the theater. So
Yeah.
I saw all of them in theater too. Yeah.
those are the only ones I saw. Like I didn't see. I can remember when Manhattan was like all over the commercials and stuff when I was a kid, and I was like, oh my god! But I was too young at the time. I think. I can't remember exactly what year that came out, but I remember seeing the commercials all over the place with that. But yeah,
Dude,
I saw all the ones.
Kentucky cunt tater.
Tater.
F the Kentucky cunt tater, baby. Ghoulies 2 is better than Ghoulies, and Ghoulies 3 is better than Ghoulies 2. What do you guys think about that statement?
That's like a fucking SAT question.
I mean, I can understand the Ghoulies 2. Again, it goes back to where I just think it's very different. Ghoulies 2, in my opinion, than the first one. The first one's tough because I like it more now than I did when I was a kid. Because when I did as a kid, I was thinking Green Gremlins, and it's not that, right? So, I kind
Now,
of.
if I'm not mistaken, they shot the poster cover with prepubescent Merle before they actually shot the scene. Like I think they shot the scene because of the cover. If I'm not mistaken,
they added it in because of the poster. And man, that poster's so iconic. Like I have the one sheet that sometimes I'll throw in my frame up here. Like I mean, it's just one of those cover arts that you just never forgot when you walked into that theater. I mean, into that movie store as a kid. That Monkey Shines, like those are ones that just are embedded in my brain because it was just such a weird cover that you're like, what is this movie about? A monkey with like a knife and this thing coming out of the toilet. Like it was just embedded in my brain forever.
for sure. Can't go wrong with Ghoulies. Any of the Ghoulies movies, though.
That's
Ghoulies
true.
Go to College. I love that movie, too. Ghoulies 4. I don't know if I remember Ghoulies 4.
Ghoulies Back in Action. That was a good one. Ghoulies.
Cabin Fever 2. Any
Can we not bring up a bunch of horse shit?
Listen,
Good
I'll even
Lord.
say right now, I never had a problem with Cabin Fever, to be honest, but I don't like part two. But I know Eli Roth and Cabin Fever is not going to be on everybody's cup of tea.
I just thought of this one. Actually, Greg Caldwell, The Rage Carry too. Yeah, that's kind of an underrated one for sure. I haven't heard from too many people that don't like that movie, to be honest with you. But nobody ever talks about it. So
I'm just amazed that somebody fucking brought up fucking August Underground. I still can't believe that.
What about
That's a blast
Murder
from the
Set
past.
Pieces? Remember that thing?
Oh yeah.
whatever happened to that guy?
Friday
I don't
Night
know,
2,
but like, I'm surprised no one's put that out because that had a bunch of hype behind it.
what was his name? Nick Palumbo or something like that? What was
Yeah.
his name?
Yeah.
Friday Night 2 is a decent sequel. It's
I
just
have it right here, man. I was
Yeah.
my next one.
Woo.
love
I haven't
Friday Night
seen
2.
that.
can't.
I haven't seen that in forever just because you can't see it. Like it's not, you can't
It's
get
definitely
it.
not easy to find. I think there's a shitty transfer that's on YouTube. Or last time I looked, it was.
2022 might be a good year. Put
watch it that
I'll
way.
tell you that.
What about the Children of the Corn sequels? Any of those? Children of the Corn 2 is pretty good.
Those are again. That's another franchise to me where everything kind of blurs together. I get confused on which sequels are what.
Well,
Which
you
is
know.
Which is the one Felcher worked on. That's like the worst.
Oh, Felcher was the executive producer on Children of the Corn 5 Fields of Terror.
Yeah, of course. Ezekiel's Return or whatever. What's that kid's name? Isaac's Return.
Isaac, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Do you guys have anything left? I have one more.
No, go for it.
No, I don't have
I'm
anything.
done.
And again, this one could get a little bit of good or bad. I'm not sure here how people are going to take it, but to me, I always found you take such a great movie, like we talked about this movie briefly before. It's in a world of its own, and how do you make a sequel to it? And I think for what it was, it did okay, and that's Jaws 2. I always found Jaws 2 to be pretty good. I mean, as a kid, I found that I rented that one more than I rented Jaws. I don't know, something about it. I always found it fun. The other two, nah. I don't care too much about them. They're different. I mean, they're kind of funny in their own way, but Jaws 2 I felt like did a pretty good job trying to take what worked and running with it. So
I think with Jaws 2, they still had, like, Universal was still wanting to put some major money into it because they were more fresh off of the success of the first movie. And then after that, it just seemed like they were, okay, let's make a campy, scary movie for people to go and check out in the summertime.
yeah, let's just throw Jaws in the title and it doesn't matter what it's about.
Well, the gimmick of Jaws 3 sold that one. And then I'm not really sure what the point was of 4, but
I think that the biggest problem with Jaws 2 for me is just it really suffers from the lack of like the cast, with just Roy Scheider being in it, and Robert Shaw and Richard Dreyfuss. Like that was the driving force for that. But it's not as horrible as you would think, and the ending of it's actually pretty good too. So yeah, I mean I would put it up there.
I've been kind of like, my brother-in-law has a projector that does the 3D still. So I've been trying to pick up some of these movies that were shot in the old school 3D, which to me, I think that works better than the newer 3D from what I've seen. So Jaws 3 is one of those that I'm going to check out in the near future and revisit. It's been a while since I've seen any of the, I think I saw 4 a couple of years ago, but the other 2 I haven't seen in a long, long time.
Demons 2. Somebody brought up Demons 2. Greg Caldwell. That's actually not a bad sequel either. It's pretty much on par with the first one.
Very well made movie, and the 4K. I'm still baffled at how they made those movies look that great in 4K. Both of them. Return to Living Dead 3. What do you guys think of that one?
It's a classic.
I like it. I think it's just very different in my opinion.
Melinda
I like
Clark, like going full on goth and like emo and putting shit into her. Yeah.
Her costume was great in that. Great.
Figured you'd enjoy that.
I like Return to Living Dead 2 as well, though. I mean, it's not a great movie, but
God damn it, listen to me.
What?
I just watched that movie again like about a week ago.
Awesome.
It ain't nary count. It just ain't. It is not.
You like the part 2 Tar Man the best. It's your favorite.
Yeah,
one.
that was It was great. It looks like the Dollar Tree Tar Man. Like, if you order Tar Man from Wish, that's what it would look like. Yeah. But what did somebody else said? Scream 2. I can't believe nobody said anything about the Scream. I can watch the other two Scream movies all day except for Scream 4. Like, I can't watch that one.
You know what? Scream 2, I should go back and rewatch because I feel like that one and 3, I get mixed up a lot on which one is which. Which is the one where they're doing like the play or whatever? What's that one?
The play is 2.
Yeah.
Oh, that's part 2. Okay.
It's got Jerry O'Connell in it from Stand By Me.
Right. Yeah.
I get the feeling now that people are championing Scream 4. And it's just like, add that to a list of just weird fucking movies that suck. I mean, in my opinion, they suck. And people, like Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 is another one. What? What did I miss? I just saw Scream 4 not too long ago.
That should be on this list. That should be on this list, though. What? Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, that's a fucking classic. I think we all know that.
Listen. What the fuck I need to go back and watch that one because I was a big fan of the original Rob Zombie movie when I saw it.
You really weren't.
I was, dude. I have like all these freaking memorabilia from that damn movie. I was like, I loved it, and I was so excited to see part 2 in the theater. And I remember it being like one of the worst experiences ever. And it has to do mainly with just a couple little things. And I think, as a whole, like I think the acting is good. I understand. I liked what he was trying to do, but there was just some things to me that I just feel like I can't get over. Like I can't, and it's minute shit. Like we've talked about this 100 times before. If you couldn't get Daig to do the part, like that bothered me from day one when it was a different actor, and they said, "Oh, he looked too old." Well, guess what? Michael Myers was in freaking the place from the time he was 12 to the time he was an old adult, so it didn't matter how old he was because it could have still taken place in there. Or they could have just pulled the mask down and had the hair over the face, and we could have called it a day, and no one would have known who was under there. You know. So, but again, it is what it is. But I don't want to.
Blair Witch 2: Book of Shadows. We watched that one again not too long ago.
Yeah, I'm not going to put that one on there either.
No.
Holly talked about Final Destination. We talked about that a little while ago, so we had a good chat about that one.
Something is meowing. Yeah, that is my pussy, baby. That's my pussy.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Anything else that we have not talked about on here? We've mentioned Creepshow 2. I'm way behind on this shit. Jeez. Children of the Corn 3 Urban Harvest was a dumb fun movie, Norzoth says. I'm glad you can remember it. Urban Legend 3 Bloody Mary. Rolling 666. Quit fucking with us.
That movie's pure fucking trash.
Weekend at Bernie's 2. Now that one is pretty good.
It is, but not horror. If we went non-horror, we could find.
Oh God, we'd have all the Police Academy movies. We'd talk about all that shit.
The Hitcher 2. We've talked about The Hitcher 2 with Jake Busey's teeth.
Mm-hmm. Crazy Fat Ethel 2. Fuck yeah! Can't believe we didn't bring that one up.
We have not mentioned Bride of Frankenstein. It's really not we don't really talk about those movies very much on here, but definitely a classic film for sure. But yeah, I haven't seen that movie in a long, long time.
One of the ones that I put back that was on my list and I decided against it was Bride of Reanimator, which I think is a pretty good movie. But again, I still think Reanimator is in kind of its own class, so it's hard for me to even put it against it, even though it's not terrible. It's pretty good.
It's very didn't they have a very low budget with that though? I mean, it's very, very cheaply made from what I can recall.
Listen.
Here's another idea for a show though. Movies that should have had sequels that never did. And there's some good ones right there. Madman and the Killer Clowns from Outer Space. It's baffling that Killer Clowns from Outer Space didn't have a sequel.
No, that could have went very well.
What about Necromantic 2, though? That's a good choice.
I don't even want to get into those.
Should they have made a Necromantic 3?
I just remember, here's what I remember about those movies. The only thing I remember about them, this is great. Me and CK are up at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning watching these fucking movies. And there's a scene where this woman watches like a bunch of baby seals being clubbed to death. And I'm just like, what are we doing with our fucking lives?
Yeah, there was a point in time when we were
watching this.
We were seeking out just the most disturbing shit to watch. Like Uncle Bill bought the guinea pig box set that other films did. That's among the most fucking insane shit that I've ever seen. Like, I'm like, what in the
Us
hell?
trying to watch
is this
that was
shit?
great too.
Matt
You know what?
Coughlin, we do like Shaun of the Dead. I
That
think we all like it.
I can remember back then too. It was like I was just buying anything horror. Like I was running through the racks and just grabbing whatever, and I found Necromantic 1 and 2, and I had like, oh, like this is gonna be killer. Like I had no clue like what this was gonna be, and I can remember putting the first one in and being like, what the hell is this? And I took it off, and I have the second one too. I don't even think it's opened because I was like, I'm not doing this. And
No,
it's sat there ever since. Like I think I got about like a quarter of the way through the first one, and then it's just sat on my shelf ever since.
Stuntman Mark says that we left out Vampires 2 Los Muertos with John Bon Jovi.
John Bon Jovi.
Yeah,
You know
a
that's
shame.
actually receiving a Blu-ray?
Get ready.
God.
Dr. Giggles, that could have had a sequel.
Sleepaway Camp 2, yeah, that's a good one. For sure.
Blood Rage 2.
Haunting in Connecticut 2, Ghosts of Georgia. Jake.
This guy's throwing out all the
That
gold.
guy's great.
What he's doing, he's looking over to the side, looking at his collection. He's like, oh, that sucked. I'm going to write that one in there.
Didn't they have a sequel to the Fright Night remake as well? Like, I think I've got it.
Wasn't
Yeah,
that movie
it
though?
didn't even, like, it had
Seriously,
nothing to do with anything. It was called Fright Night 2. Had zero, like it didn't, wasn't a sequel to anything, really. It was weird.
if I'm not mistaken though, wasn't Haunting in Connecticut 2 actually in the theaters?
Probably.
I can't remember.
I swear to God, I think it was.
Lost Boys 2, Garrett.
Nah. We can pass on that one.
No,
They
you
did
didn't
Lost
miss-
Boys 2 and 3 pretty much back to back, right?
Yeah, it was close, pretty close. Maybe a year.
Return to Salem's Lot. I want to try to go through these, and then because this is our 2-hour limit is up. We won't get kicked off here. But Stepfather 2, Make Room for Daddy. We did not talk about that one. That's a good
I was
one.
waiting on that one.
But yeah, guys, I believe that is it. I don't have anything else.
No, I mean, I appreciate. I mean, the chat was on fire. I was having trouble even keeping up with it. And then everybody who kind of popped in just to say what's up, I appreciate it. And hi to everybody. And thank you guys for hanging out with us. Scanner Cop. I just bought that in the sale, and I never seen it.
Me too. Yeah, we bought a couple things in the sale that we may be able to do related to shows. I think we all will have Six String Samurai, right? Didn't you buy that too, Gary?
I didn't get it. No, I put it back.
God
You
damn!
motherfucker.
Oh, you want me to get it?
Yeah.
Oh, it's closed. You guys.
You son of a bitch.
What you?
I had it in my car, and then I was like, I had to start slimming it down because I was at almost $300. I was
going to say that'd be funny to do just a live first viewing of Six String Samurai.
No, I mean, if you hold off, I'll get it because I'll
Oh,
just
yeah,
go
I
to
mean,
the archive and get it. Yeah,
I don't think anybody's in a rush, really, to be honest.
just wait till January. I'll go get it.
Shit.
But yeah, lots of cool stuff planned. Everybody liked the video.
Black roses. What is he talking about? If there's no black roses anywhere, I would have bought it.
No black roses. Not yet, at least. They would have announced it if Don May Jr. announced he was doing the Blu-ray, though. They would be doing
Yeah, what's up with that? Does anybody have any idea what's going on with that? Like, how did this happen? That's just weird, right?
I don't know legally how it happened. I have no idea, like, what the deal is, but it sounds like to me that the Vinegar Syndrome one is way off. Like, that's not going to be out anytime soon. The Synapse one's coming out in March. So, I don't know. You can read into it what you want. But why would Vinegar Syndrome announce something that far in advance if it's not coming out within the next 6 months, which it's not. It's not going to be out
Just
for
do
about
yourself a
another year.
favor and buy the Synapse one. Goddamn. Like, at least you know it's going to be great. The quality's going to be great. Like, you don't know what's going to happen with Vinegar Syndrome.
That's true. But we had a big crowd in here tonight. Definitely appreciate everybody checking us out. Garrett, what do you got planned coming up on the Born2BeRad channel?
Well, so if you guys haven't checked out, I put up a video this weekend of a very different video than normal for my channel. It's a nostalgia based video, but it's not really horror or anything like that. I'm pretty proud of it. I think it just brings back a lot of memories for me. So if you guys go to my channel and check it out, we do a tour. I do it with my brother and his wife of an amusement park that was a big deal here where I live, and for years. And I had like the first haunted house I ever went to there, and it's basically abandoned now and it's taken down. So we kind of went back to where it was and walked through and kind of talked about it. So it was pretty well done in my opinion. I thought we did a pretty good job with it. So guys, go check it out. Let me know what you think. I do have a rad recommendation coming next week. I am pretty sure with Mr. Sean Clark. So check that out. I think it's going to be next Tuesday or Wednesday. I will put it up. We're going to be talking about an 80s movie that doesn't get a lot of love, and it's not horror, actually. So it will be a non-horror related rad recommendation. So come check that out. I'll post about it. Yeah, so I have a couple other things coming up here. I'm going to be doing like a Secret Santa thing with my brother, and that's another little thing we're going to do. Yeah, so I got stuff for the month coming. Oh, I got a Cobra Kai unboxing coming later this week. A mystery box. I never.
When
buy
does
those
the new
things, but,
season start?
That starts at I think New Year's Eve, I believe, is when it comes out. I think. So
we should definitely do something related to Cobra Kai, I think.
Yeah, my January is going to be pretty Karate Kid heavy. But yeah, I have an unboxing of a mystery box I got from a company, and I kind of do that live, and I'll post that up on Friday.
Cool.
But,
the only thing that I know that I'm going to do at some point, and you guys can start hyping it up right now, I have a 40-year-old bottle of Coca-Cola.
God, he's not going to do this.
Do you really?
Here we go.
That I am going to fucking drink on camera. I've had it chilling in there for a couple weeks.
Wait,
I may have to go to the Highlands Regional Medical Center afterwards, but by God, it's going to make for an interesting video.
This will be great.
Goodwill. It was $1.99 Goodwill special.
Man.
Oh, they had it like full?
Yes. They had two of them. I'm keeping one.
I was just gonna say, you
sealed.
should keep one because I bet it looks great, like the logo and stuff. Because I mean, I'm sure it's changed.
I'll bet it's like fucking tar by now. You try drinking, it'll be like.
So I've got that. Uncle Bill, I haven't even told you this. One of the patrons, Tales from the Crypt 1972, they want us to do a commentary over that.
That's a great one, actually.
It is, yeah. It's a great movie.
So that'll be different.
Wait,
for sure.
I always ask him this. Is that the embalming one?
Yes.
Oh my God, that's like one of the best scenes ever, man.
Yeah.
I actually just bought that Blu-ray not too long ago because that's a movie that I didn't own. I didn't even have it on DVD. So it'll be a first-time viewing for it. I've probably seen it before, but it's been a long freaking time. And what was the other movie? Somebody requested the... God damn it, I can't remember the name of it now. But I'll let you guys know what it is next time.
Yeah.
What was the name of it? It was a Shudder movie. You guys can... What was it?
What?
Burning or something like that? Burnt Barney or something like that?
Oh, I know which one you're talking about. That one that just came out. It says on like the cover of it, like, if you liked E.T., you'll like this or something, right?
Fried Berry.
Fried Berry.
Yeah.
I was getting ready to say like Burnt Charlie or something like that. So, yeah.
Burnt Charlie.
That's the sequel.
That's about Vietnam. Is good. That's a whole other thing.
So that, another requested review was Burnt Charlie, and we're going to be doing that one. Fried Berry. Burnt Charlie.
Burnt Charlie's the sequel.
Also, I am scheduled to be on Christian Hannah Horror on Friday. I don't know for sure what time. So, the Creepy Kentuckian Tell-All, I think we're going to do it on Friday.
That's going to be cool, man.
On the Christian
channel. I want
to
tell all, everything.
Oh. Yeah. I want to draw the line in the sand, baby, and tell you all that you need to like this video, give it a thumbs up.
Uncle Bill should be in the chat just asking him questions of stuff he knows that no one else knows and see if he'll answer it.
He could do that.
It's going to be like a John Stossel fucking retrospective.
Once I get the time, I will let everybody know, and I'll put the live stream up on the Patreon page and everything too, so hopefully everybody can check it out and we'll get a crowd in there. It'll be fun. Hopefully.
Nice, man.
All right, guys. But we appreciate everybody coming out. Check out Garrett's channel if you're not subscribed. There he is. Born2BeRad. Or, of course, me and Uncle Bill, deadpitonpatreon.com. We're putting up new Hellord shit.
Ooh.
Like Stay Away From Me, Motherfucker, the all-time classic. Check us out.
deadpit.com.
Y'all come back there.
Give us the thumbs up.
Up your butt.
Like, subscribe. And if you subscribe, here's something else you can do. Once you subscribe, you can click the bell notification, right? And it'll notify you anytime that Dead Pit puts up new shit.
Or don't. I really don't give a if you do or
I
not.
want you to. I want you to.
I don't care.
Let's keep our community growing here on YouTube.
I don't like it. I don't want you to do nothing.
Listen, they need to do that, pal.
No, don't you dare touch it.
Thumbs up. Subscribe. And click that bell. Thank you to all of our supporters on Patreon. DeadPitOnPatreon.com is the only place to check out a complete archive of the old Dead Pit radio shows all the way back from 2005 on, in addition to the midweek shows and fan commentaries, exclusive podcasts, and much more. Dead Pit on Patreon.com if you're interested. Tiers start at only $1.